I'm Phil DeLuca.
I'm Shivam Putt.
And we are Unmanderin. There I go again. Thanks for listening, everybody. We put a spotlight on community issues, but never, ever talk about 3 banned topics. But this episode, we actually have 4, don't we? Religion, politics, Hearthstone, and, because of our guests, midichlorians. No discussion of any of those 4 topics.
No way, man.
That's right. I hear you're spontaneously, you sometimes spontaneously break out into rap.
I won't.
So, as you may be able to tell by now, this episode, we've brought some guests on to talk about a very special topic. In this case, a new format called Uncommander. And to do that, we brought on some experts in... Sorry?
Shouldn't we just call it Unmander the way everybody else has been calling it?
Sure.
That's what I have in the on the YouTube.
Okay.
I feel like Unmander has just become the unofficial community term for it.
Oh, also, heads up, you guys. I don't really edit the YouTube video very much, so if you got to stop, that's okay. But like, just know that it's probably going to be on YouTube. Hello, everybody watching. Hi.
No, the world of audio is collapsing.
So this episode, we're talking about a new format called Unmander. That's right. We're talking about unstable cards in Commander and for other unsets. Maybe we'll talk about that at a later time. But to do this, we brought in a couple of experts. The Commander's Brew. That's right.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah. Say hi.
It's us.
Yeah, Andy and Sean. Sean and Andy. Good to be here. Happy to talk about Uncards. Very excited to do that with you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's an Unmander Summit.
Exactly. It is the Unmander Summit.
The Unmander
That's exactly
Summit.
what this is.
Uh-huh.
We've been doing homework for a week for this show.
Yeah. We have. Spreadsheets and everything.
Yeah, this is more prep for a Commanderin show than I've done since the one I came on. So this has been a lot of fun.
And this is a special part 1 as well, right? Like,
that's right.
We're going to host part 2 when this is done over on our streaming podcasts. However, whatever you call the place podcasts live.
Yeah, I think it's a cloudy place. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's always very cloudy.
Yeah. So like Sean just said, we're going to host part 1 of this, and Commander's Brew is going to host part 2 of this. So if you want to see the whole episode and hear the entire discussion, you have to watch and or listen to both episodes. It's going to be awesome, actually.
I am so excited.
And so this is our episode. It's episode 120, but your episode is episode 124, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Awesome.
So you can hear part 2 of this eventually on Commander's Brew. So yeah, this is fun. We're splitting it up here.
If you have somehow listened to part 2 first,
we apologize.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sorry.
It's going to be weird.
Yeah, it might not make as much sense if you do it in that order. But you know what? It'll be fun
I feel like
anyway.
it fits the format, though.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So we are super excited to get to this show. It's the first of its kind as far as I can tell. It's certainly our first of a kind, or a first of a kind for us. Oh boy. Hey, all of your video watchers are going to hear all of the stammering that I normally do. This is it's lovely.
Yeah, precious editor can't help you now.
Now I am suddenly terrified.
Yeah.
Because the audience doesn't understand just how much cutting we do with this show.
Well, luckily, only Commander's Brew YouTube viewers will get it, I think. Right?
Still, there are thousands
which is basically, our audiences are largely overlapping. So you're right. It is just everybody.
Yeah. So we are really excited to talk about this, and you'll hear it all throughout the show, and you've heard it so far. And but first, before we do that, we have a couple of things we want to say. Please head over to wherever you get your podcasts from and give both Unmanderin and Commander's Brew a 5-star rating. Most of the time, that's iTunes. It's also maybe Google Play. I don't know, a bunch of places.
iTunes,
Wherever you get
Stitcher, Google Play, Podfeed, wherever you get your podcasts.
Super helpful.
all of those places.
Super
Go
helpful.
Give us both 5-star ratings because it really does help.
Yeah.
You should also visit patreon.com/CommanderinMTG and patreon.com/CommandersBrew. Right? That's your
right.
your Patreon. I actually am a patron of your show. I've never heard my name on your show, but I am a patron of your show.
You are?
And yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm confirming. Oh. Imagine I didn't know. Oh my God, you are?
That would be awesome. So go on over there and give us each $1 a show, because you have no idea how much it helps. Commander's Brew viewers, and perhaps even our viewers at this point, if I can edit it properly, can see my studio right now. I'm actually in a closet. All this time I've been saying I'm in a closet. I'm actually in a closet. And if we get enough...
I was stunned when we had to turn on the video for this, and I saw that he's actually legitimately in a closet.
Yeah.
I thought he was just making a joke. Yep. No, he is actually sitting with his shirts and a couple of boxes of conspiracy back there and some ancient clothing, and it's...
Oh, can you see the conspiracy?
Yeah, friends, you can get us out of the closet with just $1
a show. Yep. So we are not kidding when we say that we need your donations, and both podcasts really do need your donations. We do a lot better with all of them, and both of us, Commanderin is entirely listener sponsored. We don't have any fancy ads like you may have just heard when you come in for part 2 on the Commander's Brew, you'll have heard this really cool ad done by...
You will have just heard of the past future tense.
Oh my God, it's very unstable.
And anyway, so we have no sponsors except you, the listener. So please head on over, give us $1 a show, and for the cost of a pack of Magic cards, you can do a wondrous amount of good for us. Thank you. And for those of you who are already doing that, we're really grateful. Don't forget to visit us on YouTube. We do have a channel. It's not as fancy as some other channels that may be broadcasting the second half of this. But comment, rate, and subscribe to both of our channels, because that also helps, believe it or not. It even helps if you play the video all the way to the end. So we have some news. We might talk about decks. When we do, you can just head on over to deckstats.net/CommanderandMTG. And we have our own direct link, which is really cool. And you can see all of our decks there. We've organized them so that our guests have them, etc. It's worth checking out. Also, it's the month of December now, and we have a special on for our playmats. It's a $2.50 flat rate for any number of playmats you want to order to anywhere in the United States. We've even been helpful with we've even been nice to some of our international orders and sent extra playmats, and I even signed an extra card or two and put them in there. So please head on over. Time's running out, and you definitely want to order while you can.
Wow, $250 for a playmat?
$250
shipping.
Oh. I was like, whoa, you guys are really taking a bath on those.
Yeah, at this point, we're taking a bath in them. But
yeah. Well, that is still pretty amazing for shipping, though, honestly. $250, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
That basically is, my wife is tired of stumbling over these, and so we need to get rid of them. We're down to the last few, though, so order now if you can. Now... we're here with Commander's Brew, of course. Do you guys want to say anything more about your podcast? I think most of our listeners know, but maybe there's like one or two who don't.
We're just there on iTunes with you guys as well. CommandersBrew.com. That's about it. If you enjoy EDH, Commander, if you like playing on a budget, we specialize in that most of the time. So yeah, check us out there.
Silly videos at the end.
We do sketches. We do we're upping the production quality on those lately. So we got green screen, man. It's a good time over there. Check us out. It's youtube.com/CommandersBrew.
Yeah.
I swear to God, sometimes it feels like I'm the only Magic producer who's not an improver on the side. I feel like I need to go take some classes or something and get up with the program.
Improv helps with every aspect.
It really does. Every aspect of life, period.
I just like watching it.
Yeah, it's also funny.
It really does, actually. And you guys are, when we say we're fans of you guys, it's not that we're not saying this out of a professional courtesy. You're the first podcast I listened to.
We would never say that out of professional courtesy. because we don't have any professional courtesy.
Well, are we ready to broach our main topic with the listeners?
Let's
get into it.
Let's get in.
We are way behind, ladies and gentlemen.
Way behind.
So our main topic this week is unstable cards in Commander, and that's hashtag MTG Un3. And the origin of this is we were doing a preview card, and we had Gavin Verhey on the show, and we all just sort of hit on it. It was an idea that I sort of had. It was tickling the back of my mind, but it just came out on the show. We should make a list of unstable cards that are acceptable in Commander. So we did, and that's the homework that Andy was talking about. We got together immediately. We knew there were only 2 people in the world we could talk to about this, and it was the Commander's group.
Shucks.
And so we put this list together, and it was funny because as the preview cards were being released, I was actually typing the names into the spreadsheet, and then we went through and we rated all of them and made a set of categories for it. And so we did this in part because Wizards mentioned that Un3 is sort of like a petri dish, if you will, for black border cards. And there are a number of cards in here that are just totally acceptable. They should be black border. They're just released here first, and they're like little experiments. So we came up with these categories we'll get to in a moment. So and since we started this process, we put it out on the show with Gavin and other content creators. And I'm not saying that we were like copied or anything like that. I mean, it's just such an obvious idea that everybody ran with it. And the community has started developing this list, but we want to try to consolidate all of that and create a single list. And the rules committee, of course, just announced on Friday, 4 days ago, that most uncards are legal in Commander until January 15th, 2018.
Wait,
now, that's just hilarious.
Most? I thought it was all. No?
Well, there's a ban list that's got about like a handful of cards on it. Oh. Mainly the physical cards. There's some cards that are just like too busto for Commander. Some that are just not fun. Slow down the game. The ban list is interesting. That's probably a good topic for a secondary podcast. But mainly, and my impetus for this is that the reason I play Commander, and the reason a lot of us play Commander, is because we want to use the cards we have, right? Like, we play Commander because it's an internal format, but not just like Vintage. It's a format where you can play all of your favorite cards from up and down Magic. And it always rancored me that we had these boxes of silver cards that are just like cute for the draft or whatever, and then you never play with them again. There's no reason why you can't use those in Commander. And I'm glad that the rules committee is giving us this chance for these few weeks to test out, to see if we can get some fun out of it, to see if there's cards worth hanging around that maybe make the permanent Commander list. Because wouldn't it be great to be able to play with your Thopter Pie Networks and your snow globes and other holiday cards and whatnot? And it would be really fun to just have kind of a side Unmander format that lets us use the cards we own.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, out of all of us on the show, Shivam actually has a Thopter Pie network that he's.
I built a whole deck specifically for that.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love that
cool stuff. So listeners who haven't should go check out Game Nights number 13. That's the video show that I'm sure everybody watching this and listening to this knows about already, that the Command Zone puts on. And this latest episode, they play with Mark Rosewater and Gavin Verhey. They do a draft of Unstable and just have a blast. So if you have questions about how fiddly some of these cards are like we do, go watch that show. It's well worth it to see how it works. So so Andy, what do you think of this set so far?
Well, I think it looks like a real blast. I like how it's built around the guilds. You know, I like I love the idea that what the unsets do, which is like use different things on a Magic card than we're used to, right? Like, we don't care about the number of words usually, but here we go. Now we all care about it, and that's the thing that it's like how far outside of the normal sort of rules and like not flavor, not rules, but like just the norm of what Magic is and what the accepted formats are. How far outside of that are we willing to go as a kind of group, as a format kind of, right? So yeah, exactly. So like funny little things are like, oh, now my library is a creature. Is like, is that too far? This cares about watermarks. Is that too much? That's what we're here to talk about.
Right. And so we came up with, we were brainstorming just before the show, actually. And we came up with a 3-category rating, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Now, Sean, this really meant a lot to you. So why don't you talk about that?
It does. Okay, so here's kind of the way we're looking at these cards, right? There's 3 different filters. We've labeled them mild, medium, and spicy. Okay, so the mild ones, we are trying to determine those are the ones that could have been printed black border. They don't really go outside of the rules that we're used to in a traditional way, and throw those in, no problem. Then there's the medium one. The medium is the most interesting category to me personally, and that's the ones where it's like these cards definitely bend the rules in a way that is different than traditional Magic, but as a Commander player, we bend the rules a lot. Like, we like to put cards together in ways that do weird things, like create decks where like we just like stop taking turns for a little while, or maybe like we have double upkeeps or things like that. So it doesn't seem we're gonna call some of these cards in the medium category. Those are gonna be cards that are like, yeah, they changed the rules. You're gonna have to go with your group and say like, are we okay with medium level? Are we doing medium stuff? And then spicy is the simplest category. Spicy is just anything goes, right? All uncards, no restriction. Let's just have a hoot.
Yep. And that's kind of the state we're in right now with the silver border cards being legal until January 15th, 2018, right?
Mm-hmm. That is right. Yep. Yeah.
Just spicy.
I would love to invite any listeners of either of our shows who happen to be at GP Santa Clara this beginning of next year. I will be there with my decks. If you have any Unmanderin decks, bring them on. Let's get the silver border going at the GPs while we still can before they all go away.
Yeah.
I would love to see what you guys come up with.
So cool. All right. So let's, if you guys want, we'll start running down the list of the mechanics and talk about a few cards in them.
Certainly.
Yeah,
and
great.
Also, so listeners, we go through the mechanical themes like this, and we've sort of arbitrarily defined some of them, like physical or extra player and so forth, and decided whether or not those were spicy, medium, or mild. And we'll talk about each of them. So, does anybody want to take on the physical theme?
I do. I'll take it on. So,
all right.
Sure. So a lot of the cards have like what we were calling physical restrictions, like how you hold the cards or how you have to kind of sit, or they're like sort of dexterity based. Like you have to actually do different things that aren't necessarily rules based, right? It doesn't matter. Like you have to, maybe you're not allowed to use all of your fingers in your hand to do it or so. We've determined that these are spicy. These are kind of over the top. These are a little bit out of the thing. I personally feel like these are tricky cards because they're Magic really strives to be an inclusive format for everybody, but there are definitely people out there who are differently abled, who are unable, who just cannot use these cards based on the things that that they live with. And for that reason, I'm okay. Like, I would have been fine if they never printed these to begin with, because it really is sad to think of someone who just who based on their different abilities just can't, they don't get the luxury to think about using less fingers with their cards, because it's like, well, it would be nice if that was an option for me to use all everything. So I kind of feel like these go against, in my opinion, the inclusivity that Magic strives for.
I think that that's true. I also think that just like, to me, why does how good I am at throwing a card have anything to do with the game? I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. To me, it's like,
I play Magic outside because I'm not good at throwing
exactly. I'm not good at throwing things, man. That's why I do this. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I looked at, like, for instance, there was a card where you put your 2 fingers on the table as a token.
Yeah.
And I looked at that, and that's like, that seems really just, I get it, it's cute, but also it just seems like it would be really awkward and uncomfortable for some people. Or the one where you have to put your head on the table. That just seems like, I don't want to do that. I don't feel good about that.
They actually kind of interfere with gameplay at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's the one physical manipulation card that I was interested in was, I don't remember the specific name, but it's the one where you have to touch it with all of your, you play all the cards, the bunker, secret bunker.
Yes.
Where all the cards have to touch the secret bunker or they get destroyed.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cute gimmick and a really neat idea, and it doesn't require me to have to, like, tear my chaos card up and throw it from 4 feet up, try to hit things.
It's called Cramped Bunker. That's what it is.
Cramped bunker.
Yeah.
And that, sir, is a spicy card. Definitely spicy card.
Definitely.
So you'll have to be playing with full-on spicy unmander. That's it, unmander cards and decks to use that.
Yeah.
We identified 2 that look kind of fun and maybe aren't too terribly broken, right? And these are the exceptions. Sean, you really like one of them, don't you?
The both that we have here are really fun. I do think I think it's very well designed, and it does feel very unset. The Slaying Mantis one.
Yeah.
I love that card.
Just like a lot of the humor comes from the fact that it's got just a second, which is like it's not split second, it's just a second, which means while it's on the stack, no one can rearrange their cards because you're going to throw this card, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as I put on the stack, no one's allowed to move their cards. It's cost me 7 mana to put this 6/6 insect wrestler on the stack.
The art is so good on this card.
Yeah, and I'm going to toss the card onto the battlefield, and every card that I end up touching,
it fights.
That an opponent controls, it's gonna fight those cards. I mean, yeah, great. Sounds silly. I like silly.
Yeah, that's very silly.
I guess
it's very funny.
I guess now is the time to say to tell everyone that I am basically the fun police on this show for this episode. You should see the like the spreadsheet we had to fill out where we like basically said yes, no, or I have some reservations about these cards. I have mostly reservations and mostly no's. I did, but like, hey, listen, I'm up for fun. Don't get me wrong. It's this one for me was a hard no. No way. Throwing a card, get out of my face with this.
Yeah.
But it's certainly fun in the spicy format.
Well, it reminds me of, like, there's some cards that I was just like, I'd never want to play against somebody who's got Nerf War, for instance. But some of these cards, I mean, Just a Second seemed really cool. It reminded me of the holiday card from 2015, Goblin Sleigh Ride, which you basically, it's a sorcery that you put a creature on top of the other card, and then you slide the card across the table, and it does damage to whatever creatures it touches on the slide. So if you have really slick sleeves, you could just kind of like fling it and have a good time.
Yeah.
And that was neat because you're sliding it on the table. You're not necessarily throwing it. I would feel really uncomfortable about hucking a card. You know, it's like, it's like, don't bend it.
Now, speaking of fun police, we are never going to get this done if we
fair,
divert
fine.
like that.
True.
What our typical listeners don't hear is like all of these tangents, and then we cut them out.
Okay.
The other one that is somewhat, maybe what would you say this one is? Mild or even medium? It's Hot Fix, right? That's the one that allows you to look through your deck. You can rearrange your entire library, and you have 10 seconds to do it. And if you're touching it, you have to shuffle your library at the end of those 10 seconds. So in practice, this is kind of like a really fast Limdual's Vault, right? Except you're not drawing the card. You're actually just making sure that the best card in the top 10 cards goes on top of your library and is the next one you draw.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem if all tutors also included that kind of thing. Like you only have 10 seconds to like do your business, and then let's get on with the game.
That's true. Right. I mean, you need to have a stopwatch, which everyone does on their phone. So like, okay, this one was like,
don't know, my main worry with that is that it's in blue, which means you can draw cards immediately if you wanted to. And if you, for instance, have a combo in mind that you can pull out immediately, let's say you're playing with an unlimited Soul Ring and an unlimited whatever, and you can just immediately jump through your deck, pull them out, put them on top, slam them, and then draw your divination and then go to town with your combo. It feels like, I mean, it does cost 6, so it's not necessarily like an instant win, but it could be really fun. I think just the tension of the 10 seconds makes it fun enough to be willing to try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And believe me, that will be rigorously enforced.
Oh, yeah.
and that is one of the things that I, without going too deep right now, one of the things is I was like, there's a lot of potential in a lot of these cards to create a lot of arguments, which I know I guess it just kind of is in Magic anyways, but I think the unsets open it up a little bit more, which I'm like, ugh, but hotfix seems okay to me.
Yeah, we argue about how long our silence is at the beginning of the episode, and that's only 5 seconds.
And we have a timer on our timeline that tells us.
And we're not searching for cards that'll change the game. It's funny. So our next category is it's kind of a broad one. It's text and art matters, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
You reacted pretty strongly to this one, didn't you, Andy?
Oh yeah, this is the one I was like, this shouldn't matter. This you know what I mean? Like in Black Border, right? Like in regular Magic, I don't think the art or the word, the number of words, or like what the word is, or anything like that. Like that shouldn't matter because that stuff is like kind of arbitrary, anyways, right? Like the name, of a creature. Like I think it was Mel Lee. She was when I met her when we were in LA. We played Commander with her, and Mel was like, "There are no more words to describe like water." Like there are just no more. We've used them all. We've used them too many times. So like they have this, there's only a certain number of things. So anyways, I think that like I don't like that stuff mattering in Black Border, but in Silver Border, go to town, man. That's where the fun is. That's one of the key divides to me between Black Border and Silver Border is like other things on the card can matter. So we have the good example here is what is it? Selfie preservation, right?
Selfie preservation.
Yeah.
So selfie preservation.
I love this card.
Is 100 green. It's basically rampant growth, but it says if there's a tree in the art, that's how you get to put it onto the battlefield, right? Otherwise, it just goes to your hand. So it's not
right.
So like actually, this says the land goes to your hand unless there's a tree, in which case it's a rampant growth.
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously when we're power level. We're not worried about this for Commander, but it's just that like that thing of like, do you want it to are you okay with it referencing art? And like, how many arguments are there going to be with like, that's a tree? It's like, that's not a tree. That's a spire. It's like, okay. You know what I mean? Is that stuff on swamps? Does that stuff count as trees? Is a bush a tree? Like,
but
no.
For me, I look at this card and I see those arguments, but I also see a really cool way to thematically build your deck to make sure that all your lands have trees on them or all, I just think it would be I'm a Vorthos at heart. I love the idea of having art matter and being like, for me, picking my basic lands is the most important part of any deck I build. So this card is right up my alley. Because it would be like, okay, well, I'm definitely taking the third Lorwyn Forest for sure because that's the most visible tree or whatever. You can
also strategically select basic lands that don't have trees on them. Now, I don't know if you'll ever find a forest that way, but there definitely are other basic lands
forest
that don't
without
have
trees.
And
there might be some Ravnica ones.
It could be.
Because some of them are just like buildings with moss and crap.
And so that way you're actually like later in the game you're getting a land that you can play untapped.
True.
Yeah.
I mean,
Trixie.
I think
just have a bit of both.
You're going through a lot of work to get rampant growth.
So
in the end.
So for our categories, we're kind of looking at these. I'm in the camp of putting this kind of art-based ones in the spicy category as opposed to the medium category because they don't synergize with anything that is like relevant necessarily to the game, and it also doesn't take into account that there are many different art versions of things, and a lot of people like to play with altars. Like, what if you're like, does your altar count for the art? Like, how does that affect the rules? Yet another argument to be had about the card. I could alter all my islands to have trees in them so that it always works.
Now, see, I guess I disagree with that because, again, I totally want to have, like, one of the coolest parts of the last unset was the fact that there's a lot of artist matter stuff. And one of the ineffable blessings, for instance, is when a creature with art drawn by the chosen artist enters, you draw a card. So if you're going to go for that kind of building restriction where all of my cards are going to be done by Wayne Reynolds or by, Doug Schuler or something, if you're going to put that extra restriction on yourself, I say, man, go for it. You're totally welcome to play because I think it's it's just so cool. I love having that kind of.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't. I wouldn't want it in Black Border. I would never want that in Black Border, but I think it would be fun.
The Unmander Rules Committee has placed this in Spicy.
Fair.
Duly
noted.
Fair enough.
Now, our next mechanical theme is it's a super fun one. It's augmentation. And overall, we think that this is of medium spiciness. This is medium, and so you use it in caution. And to be honest, I think this is eventually going to end up in Black Border. I think that this is.
I do too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because that's what like the old unset had a 2-half card that eventually became meld, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So like it might take a few years, but I have no doubt we will get these sort of cards in time.
This feels like the best version of banding we've seen.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
That's good.
But
even the terminology, though, it speaks to, shall we say, a Phyrexian influence, where there are hosts, and these are augments that get put onto the host.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that they went with host and augment as opposed to suture, because that's like just gross. The idea of suturing your like zombie unicorns or whatever. For my money,
Fun police.
Fun police.
Sorry, you continue what you were saying. Sorry.
Oh no, I've been pulled over by the fun police.
Yeah.
That's the downside, isn't it?
Here's the thing that about augmentation. I think it's really, really cool. However, you have to commit really hard to get it to work in a singleton deck because there's a certain amount of hosts, there's a certain amount of augments, and in 100 cards, pulling the exact hosts and augments, unless you're using Julia's Jumble Morph, the legend that lets you go basically pull whatever two you want, it just strikes me as you would really need to commit. And if you're willing to commit so much of your deck to this one theme, go for it. That's fine. For most people, this doesn't seem like something you're just going to want to spice your deck with. It feels like it's an all or nothing kind of mechanic. Right?
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think if you do go jumble morph, which is the legend you're talking about, that's still only green. That's only green and white that you only get. You and the colorless ones, but
Sean did some analysis.
Green and white, green and white are definitely the most augmented. I had a quick look. There's only 19 hosts, and they're evenly split. There's 3 hosts of each color, and there's 4 colorless host creatures. But the augments, there's only 1 blue one, 2 black ones, 1 red one, 3 colorless, and the majority of them are white and green. So I do think it's, they gave us all the colors just for a little bit, but it's basically a white and green mechanic.
My only concern with this was the physical placing cards on top of cards, and it becoming a thing where like that's augmenting that, right? And you're like, yeah, I think so. You know what I mean?
But when you look at the augment cards themselves, it's pretty obvious you would have to overlap quite a bit. I think it's 2/3 of the host card gets covered by the augment. So it seems like it would be pretty obvious when you see it on the field like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
But also, like that's what auras and equipments do. So like we have no problem with that.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
And
but they sit like mostly people sit those like so far like really mostly under, whereas this is like one's on top and you got to show the first part of it still.
I don't know.
You don't have to go.
Anyways, it's a small concern because I actually do like the thing. I just think like also like I don't like the way the augments look, but that's just me because it like you know what I mean? Like it does this thing where it like cuts off the border and everything. I don't like that.
I don't know. I think that looks super cool, but I think that's going to be less of a problem than we think it is.
I think you're right. I do.
Yeah.
So overall, medium, and our guess is this will migrate into mild pretty quickly.
Yeah, it seems, and for the most part, except for the one that they had to errata, it seems like they're mainly pretty pretty calm cards. There's nothing too bonkers there. And
Not
if you
at
do
all.
find something bonkers, we would love to hear about it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Which one was the errata one? Just so.
Oh
Sure.
yeah, the errata,
Pony.
the ordinary pony, was that what it was called? Or
Yeah.
basically there was a half squirrel, half pony that you could flicker infinitely just with those two cards.
Oh, okay. There you go.
And that seems to me like I don't know, maybe flickering infinitely could be pretty good in Commander.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe.
Totally. As a
yeah. So they
There
had
is
to switch
nothing wrong with that.
whatever, Deadeye. But they had to change that to only be you can only flicker something that hasn't been already flickered by this card. So,
Okay, great.
which is fine.
Yep.
And that means that your poor squirrel pony is just not. Oh, ordinary pony and half squirrel. So
Okay.
half squirrel or half squirrel pony.
Wait.
It doesn't do what you think it does. That's all.
Cool.
Next.
Well, move on to the next mechanical theme, and that's a big one. It's dice.
Yes.
Now, overall, this is mostly a mild category, isn't it?
Yep.
This should be
I
Black
think
Border.
so, yeah. I
We've
think so.
got coin flips. Why not add dice?
I like dice
what's
rolling
the
way more
difference?
than coin flips.
Yeah.
Because I've
I
always
kinda
got
do
dice on the
too.
table. I've always got dice on the table. I never have coins around. And flipping a coin is hard to do.
Well, yeah, it's true. It's true. And like just thinking about it from a design perspective, once they make dice black border, it's going to be really easy to like. There's a lot they could do with it.
Well, black bordered dice, that would be neat.
Shivam, I love that you say this behavior that humans have been doing for actual millennia.
I suck at flipping coins. I'm not going to lie.
But it is
Maybe-
harder to do than rolling a die. So
Yeah, and
I-
like I play with token decks. I've got a million dice on me all
Yeah.
the time. How
Now
many
this-
coins do you realistically have?
I
Right.
believe I've heard Mark Rosewaters talk about dice and
Yeah.
why they're not used as much. And I think it's because generally people don't like that much variance. Like there's variance
Right.
obviously in Magic, and but when it comes to like getting your card in your hand, you basically want to know what it does. You want to like, okay, well, there's a very small, thing where this might be a 6/6 or it might be a 4/4, but like switching it like Paniac is the 0/3 that when you roll a dice it gets +X+O. Is like, is this going to be a 1/3 or a 6/3? Like it's a pretty big difference, right? So I think their reasoning behind the dice thing. But like as far as like mechanics go, I absolutely zero problems with the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did a lot. They did a lot to kind of mitigate the variance that is inherent in the die rolls. And one of them is one of the cards we're concerned about is Croc's Other Thumb. Right. That's if you would roll a die, it's an artifact for 2 mana. If you would roll a die, instead roll 2 of those dice and ignore one of those results. So there you're getting to kind of tamp down on that variance, and you're tending to only get positive results or high results with that.
Yeah, I also think from a flavor point of view, it is so great. We got
Isn't
Kirk's
it?
Other Thumb.
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
so great,
funny.
yeah.
It's so funny. The first thumb helps coin. So like somewhere out there's a coin flip and dice deck with just Crux thumbs.
I think it's like totally fine. I'm not concerned about Croc's Other Thumb just because it's an artifact that like doesn't do anything unless you are rolling dice. So like
Yeah,
you know what I
I
mean?
wouldn't put it a concern. I just wanted to highlight it because I think it's so nice. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I love that. That makes me happy.
Yeah,
The only problem I would see with that is if you build a deck that is taking advantage of die rolling, you're going to have a lot of dice to roll.
Yep.
And if every time you're rolling 1 die, you're rolling actually 2, you're going to have a lot of dice, and it could get
It can
confusing.
get
Yeah,
a little fiddly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that
I
we have
think
Big Boa
There's-
Constrictor,
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
we have Big Boa Constrictor as well. Who put that in there? Oh wait, no. This is one of the ones that the Fun Police had an issue with.
Oh, was it Big Boa? No, that's just because of Augment.
Oh, I see. And then Numbing Jellyfish as well, because it does that.
Yeah.
Got it. So
Yeah, I think for the most part, the dice rolling cards are pretty safe. They're fun. They don't seem very complicated. The only one that I'm personally worried about is old Buzzbeard
Yes.
or
me too.
Buzzbeak
Yeah.
because it involves having to throw dice from a height.
Yes.
Right.
And look, I don't want you throwing dice on my cards. I will put dice on my cards gently, but I don't want you hucking your dice on my cards.
And it has put a number of 1/1 counters on the die, like on the creature that the die touches. So it's just another physical thing. Like I like it for I like it for the unset because it combines two of the things that they do. But if we're talking for the mild version, where we're talking like basically making black border cards out of these silver border cards, I don't think this one's doable.
Right. And moreover, what happens if you throw dice and they knock the counters that I have on my thing? And then we have to remember which ones are which, and it just seems
like I haven't read the rules yet. But like, if dice are going off the table, what happens if your die goes off the table? Does it count? Is that a reroll? Like what? What's the rule on that?
Long Fact has a lengty section about this. Like you can't use fake dice. They have to use minimum 1 inch cube or like maximum 1 inch cubes.
Get out of here! Spicy. Blah, blah, blah. Spicy.
My problem is I know people who use like those heavy metal die that are like made out of brass or whatever. And I'm like, look, it's one thing to chuck little plastic Monopoly die. It's another for you to be hurling brass rocks at my cards.
Exactly.
Be considerate of your.
We're saying dice overall mild, except for that one because of the physical component. That one's a spicy one.
Yeah, that's old Buzzbark.
Old Buzzbark is spicy. Yeah.
Old Buzz, whatever he can buzz off.
Yeah. Well, Shivam, I know now not to bring my dice that are made from neutronium.
Please do not.
I love dice. I'm a D&D player. I have 1 million dice. I just don't want you hucking them. Like, look, I believe in the old division between dice chuckers and card floppers. We don't mix the two.
Look, I'm not touching your dice because then I can't touch mine without ruining their mojo.
Right.
So our next theme is external players. This one's spicy.
Yeah.
Right. This is the category where it says go talk to a person or high five a person or whatever who isn't involved in the game you're currently playing and ask them to make decisions for you or do something. And that's just A, there might not be external players, and B, that's a little bit difficult because you're interfering. Like Gavin's example of this is somebody who was working really hard and they had to interrupt that person because he was the only person around not playing the game. And when he came over, he totally screwed Gavin. And
that's hilarious.
Well, not Gavin, but
no, it was the other.
It was Ben Hayes.
Developer Ben Hayes. Yeah, he basically conceded the game effectively, and I believe Loading Ready Run just did their Friday night last week with this exact same premise of like we need to find somebody to just pick the kind slaver out. I don't want to bother people when I'm playing Magic who aren't in the game. I get it. It's cute. It could be really fun at the pre-release when everybody's playing Silver Border Magic.
Yeah.
Like, that'll be really cool.
Oh, my gosh. The dynamic, I do think they're very clever. It only works at a pre-release or like a big event, but there is a white card that asks you to high-five other players and get life.
Yeah.
But then there is a red card that wants you to go for a high-five but not get one. It's called, like... left hanging. That was left hanging.
Yeah.
So like if someone comes to high five you at the store, like you should ask them, do you really want me to give you this high five or do you want me to not?
I think actually that's against the spirit of the rules.
It probably is. It probably is. If we're talking spirit of the rules, remind me to talk about the blurry Beeble during Wacky cards.
Blurry Beeble makes me really... Like, first time in my life that LASIK has been a negative.
but we're on it, so we should bring it up just because Blurry Beeble, it's unblockable if it was cast while your opponent was not wearing glasses. So that just means to your pre-release.
No, while they're wearing glasses.
Well, no, if they're wearing glasses, they can see it and they can block it.
Yes,
if they're not wearing glasses, they can't see it, so it can't be blocked. So the correct move is to bring fake glasses to your pre-release and always wear them.
Yes, that's taking it out. I mean, I feel like
there was a list on Reddit of all the stuff you should bring to your unstable draft, and like fake glasses, like all this other stuff. It was really great. Like a fake,
so funny.
Yeah, it was all the stuff. One thing about Kind Slaver that I do love is that, and this goes just for Sean and myself. So we end up playing Magic mostly at our like friend's place or here at my place. And I can just imagine kind slaving someone and saying, "Okay, Lacey or Sarah, who have never played Magic before. Actually, Sarah's played a little bit of Magic. Just being like, okay, Lace, you have to do this now," which is our friend Butler's girlfriend, and like she would just...
It's her worst nightmare.
She would have such a nightmare doing it because she gets so stressed out about it. But it would be so funny to see. Like, I really want to do it. I really want to make that happen.
Right.
That seems really fun.
A Kind Slaver is my favorite of these, but I think we're looking at these as spicy cards in general because for the most part, a lot of us play at a home and they're like, from my perspective, everyone is in the game. There is nobody in the house outside of the game. So like, there's nothing to do.
That's exactly the point that Command Zone brought up earlier, which is if you're playing in your command group at home, you and those other 3 or 4 or 5 people, you're all playing Commander. Who else is going to be there to? Right. And you don't want to bother. Like I would, if I went to my wife and said, "Hey, I need you to discard a card from this guy's hand," she would be like, "I'm already letting you sit in my house and play this game." No.
Yeah.
Right. So this is definitely a spicy category.
Very spicy. Very spicy.
And it's fun in a draft situation, that's for sure.
Oh, it's gonna be great at the store. It'll be awesome at the store.
Oh no, we went back to Text Matters for our next category.
I guess we were looking at art matters differently from text matters.
Yeah, I think so. And this being Text Matters, this of course is mostly spicy for all the reasons that we talked about before, but it's worth calling out that one might work. So if you are playing spicy, you really want Phoebe, head of SNEAK, Sneak, right? Yeah. That's the legend. I think she would make a really good commander. For one and a blue-black, so our Demir friends out there are going to love this one. She can't be blocked by creatures with flavor text. She's a 2/3, and for 2 and a blue and a black, she permanently steals target creature's text box.
Crazy. I feel like
Marisol.
I was about to say, like, this is just Marisol, right?
So the first paragraph where she can't be blocked by flavor text. Flavor text is one of those things that doesn't really matter for the actual game. So that makes this card in the spicy category. But the other ability is definitely in the medium family of abilities. I feel because like that bends the rules to be sure, but it's not completely unreasonable that they might make that a magic card.
Isn't there that very popular card that can mimeoplasm? You know, one of the most popular commanders of all time.
Sure.
In a sense, the mimeoplasm is doing that, isn't it?
Yeah, this is very close to mimeoplasm.
Like the wording just needs to be, instead of steals target creature's text box, it's like put a sneak counter on target creature, and now Phoebe has all like
all abilities.
All abilities.
And that one doesn't, and that card no longer
exactly.
does.
And that one loses all of its abilities.
Well, so this was one of all of the cards. I think this was one that we put actually in the medium, maybe even mild category for all of these reasons.
Yeah, I'm with Sean. I don't like the reference to flavor text, but other than that, like it's
the flavor text keeps it spicy, unfortunately, but the rest of it is medium.
Yeah, but I think that for the purposes of Unmander, if you wanted to play with this, the flavor text is just so minor compared to.
I suppose this is, maybe we haven't prepared this answer, but like this is where it comes down to, obviously you do whatever you want with your thing, right? Like if you guys decide Phoebe is a-okay, of course, like who wouldn't want to build a Phoebe deck where that's your command? Everybody does, right? So I shouldn't.
I mean, if you're playing with your friends, then of course you would want a Phoebe deck, right?
Yeah. So by the strictest
Ross deck and.
But by the strictest definition, okay. And then a Chandler deck,
exactly. There we go. Oh my God, Chandler! Yes, sold.
And then the Chandler deck is all counter spells. That's like, do you really want to cast that spell?
Could I be countering any more spells?
Man, nobody told me it was going to be this way.
Well, okay, so Phoebe is a good exception to that and probably belongs in the mild, maybe medium category. Certainly medium and maybe even mild.
Yeah, it's definitely, in my opinion, it's definitely medium based on the way it takes boxes or whatever. And the fact that it references flavor text makes it a possible spicy candidate, but I could see the argument to put it in medium.
Yeah, I would definitely talk to your group about that.
Right. But, sorry, I didn't mean to slam a brake on that.
All good.
Now, Next mechanical theme is a very small one. It's 2 zones. And that's for cards that occupy 2 zones. I know they are so good, and yet this category is spicy.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Busto McBustertown.
And even though Animate Library was actually written really well. The rules manager made sure that this works without destroying the game. It's still pretty spicy.
I think I am the fun police, but I think Animate Library is totally fine.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
Because it's just, there's nothing about it that's not, except for the fact that I am attacking you with my deck.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that seems particularly out of the ordinary.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I feel like I honestly want to put these in the medium category, because to me the medium cards are definitely silver border-ish, but make rules sense.
Well, okay,
right?
so Animate Library, like you said, Phil, is worded very well. I think they did do a very good job at that, and that's why I think it's totally fine. Whereas Over My Dead Bodies...
yeah. Let's read that one.
This one, let's read this one. So
the simple,
4 black for an enchantment. Creature cards in graveyards can attack and block as though they were on the battlefield. Can block or be blocked only by creature cards in graveyards. Yes. Are zombies in addition to other types and have death touch. Oh, sorry, undeath touch, whatever. Which is, if they would deal damage to a creature card, exile that creature card instead. Creature cards in your graveyard have haste. Yeah. This is I think this just opens up too big a can of worms, personally.
And it's important for people to remember that both sides will have undeath touch. So if they block your creature in their graveyard, both of your creature and their creature will be exiled.
Yeah.
Now, I love this card, and also know that it will completely break Commander in half.
But I think this is the argument for medium, right? Like everything it does is well handled within the rules. Once we I guess that's where I'm coming from. In medium is we can generate decks that abuse powerful cards, of which this is one. And if I build a deck that gets my graveyard full faster than you, and then I resolve this, that's my reward, right? I don't think this breaks... it's broken in the sense of how powerful it can get, but I don't think it's spicy in the sense that it's too weird within the rules.
Hear me out for a second. So basically, there's two schools of thought on this card. One is in my zombie deck, I would love to play this because it's flavorful, it's cool. It means my zombies are still attacking from the graveyard. And in any black deck or, part black deck, this is just a neat extra effect. It doesn't really do a lot. However, if you're playing in a Sultai Delve deck or in a deck where you're playing just hyper graveyard manipulation like BDM plays, for instance, something with Nemesis Wave. What's a card that you can it feels to me like you could find a bunch of different ways to just dump your library into the trash and just go and kill them on turn one because they all have haste.
But that is true of many cards that are already black border, right? I guess my argument is that it's different. Like the medium category exists for people who want to go a little crazy, but not so much. Yeah, not so much that you have to get out tape measures and you have to bring glasses and stuff like that. The way I see the category of medium, Over My Dead Bodies is a little bit too weird to be black border, but it's not so weird that it's unacceptable.
Right. You guys want to know a secret about me?
What?
I don't think medium should exist. I think it's mild or nothing, dudes.
But medium, well.
Born to be mild, dudes. Born to be mild all the way. Anyways,
all I'm saying. Go ahead.
Let's think about this a little bit differently. Over My Dead Bodies actually creates 2 layers of combat, where the creatures in the graveyard can only affect other creatures, except for activated abilities, I guess, in graveyards. They can only block or be blocked by creatures in graveyards. And so what they're doing is they're basically traveling, the zombies are traveling from graveyard to graveyard, and then they spring out and they attack the spellcaster. So in a sense, this really isn't creating too much of a strange scenario. They just had to word it that way because of rules templating.
And doesn't that kind of sound like the opposite of flying?
Yeah.
Like that doesn't sound
Burrowing.
out of the burrowing, right? Like it does seem like they could, I don't know. I mean, maybe whether or not you think medium should exist, that's where I'm putting this one.
I just like the flavor of this like whole separate plane of attack. And I'm not going to lie, I've had a copy of Hakon Stromgald's Scourge sitting around from Cold Snap for 1,000,000 years. He's the zombie knight that can only be cast from your graveyard and lets you cast knight from your graveyard. And giving him a whole army and ability to fight in the grave just seems so flavorful for that deck. It would be... I realize I'm like the lowest power level dude on the planet, but I just like that this gives me a new plane to play the game on.
Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, part 2 of the Unstable set with special guests from the Unmanderin podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's episode 124 of the Commander's Brew podcast, and you're in the middle of listening to just a giant podcast right now, because this is part 2.
Right, this is part 2 of Unstable. If you just are tuning into our podcast and you don't know what we're talking about, we're doing a big Unstable set as a team up with some of the fellas from the Unmanderin podcast. So what you need to do to hear part 1 is go listen to the Unmanderin podcast, episode 120. That's part 1 of this. And then come back here and listen to this one you're listening to right now.
Right.
And you get the whole thing.
There you go. And so, I mean, I guess let's just continue the conversation right now.
Sure. I mean, as usual, right? We're brought to you by a lot of great people.
True.
Our patrons, thank you very much.
True.
Ultimate Guard sleeves and boxes.
True.
And then the Wizard's Tower. We want to get right back into it, so let's slip that ad in now.
Oh, hello. I'd like to take a moment and talk to you about Unstable as a set. Don't buy it. I am half man, half table, and I'm protesting the fact that I'm not really able to walk around. Dr. Julius Jumblemorph said, hey, would you like to have 4 legs instead of 2? And I thought, hey, 4 legs sounds great. I didn't think I'd be half table on the bottom. And on the top, I'm a person. It's brand new for me. I have yet to figure out the medical implications of all this, and just the simple biological ones of how I'm going to get through day-to-day life. So anyway, that's my story. But if you want to buy it for all the fun stuff, I would recommend going to the Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com. You can get 5% off if you use coupon code BREWSMIS for the month of December. And you'll always get free shipping if you ship anywhere to Canada and the US by spending $15 or more on singles. And heck, you get 3% kickback on your next order. I would love to kick anything. My legs don't move. He didn't say they were legs that don't move. Man. Now I just kind of want to be half chair, half table. Just be the ultimate dining room. Ooh, ultimate dining room? That'd be a cool card. Anyway, I should design Unstable cards. See you next time. If there is one, for me.
Yeah, okay, here we go. This is it, part 2. Everyone, okay, we're back. That's right, fix your beards, everyone. This is time. It's the Commander's Brew. So guess who's running the show now? It's us.
Yeah.
That's right. We're just going to pick up right where we left off, which was we just finished talking about the mechanical themes of there being more than one zone. Whether it's you're using the graveyard, using your library as a creature, or having something in your hand also simultaneously be on the battlefield. That would have been Masterful Ninja. But let's move on to the next mechanical theme that we wanted to talk about. And this one is just kind of a catch-all for a bunch of weird, wild stuff. We call this one Wacky. Now, tell us about some of the wacky things in here. What's a wacky card that you guys think we should mention here?
I want to talk about Clock Napper.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, this to me is sort of like the epitome of like the feel of an unset.
Yes.
This is the sweet spot where it's like, yeah, it's really weird to be able to steal someone's like one of their phases, so
Steal
they don't.
your beginning step.
So they don't get that phase, but you do for a turn. It only happens for a turn, so like it's not so broken.
You can flicker it all day. It's even blue.
You can't. You obviously can't ever do this in Black Border, but it's definitely like, yeah, man, this is unset as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. And so the entire category is spicy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I don't know. I've made some of these might be medium that are like they're manageable in the rules.
I think Clocknapper is totally mild. There's nothing wrong with stealing somebody's untapped phase every turn.
Yeah, can you imagine this guy in a Brago deck?
Oh God!
Wow.
So now what happens when you steal their phase? Like, so
they don't get it.
Do you get it on like do I get that combat phase now instead of you? So like during your turn, I get to do combat, right?
Yeah.
So what the idea is you choose either their beginning step, which is untap, upkeep, draw. You choose their first main phase or second main phase, their end phase, or their combat. And if you were to steal their phase, then whatever you want to do that is legal to do in that phase, you can do. So if, for instance, you have a bunch of vigilant creatures and you attack on your turn, and then you steal their combat step, you can attack on their turn. It is pretty nonsense.
Yeah.
Or if you steal their beginning step, they don't get to untap, they don't get to draw. You could lock them out of the game.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at this category, and I think this particular card, Clocknapper, is a Black Border candidate.
What?
Yeah.
I think we've seen cards like this in, well, maybe not exactly like this.
Where it denies you a phase, right?
Yeah.
Where there are cards, and I should have
There's
looked
cards
it up.
like, you could skip your upkeep or
And
whatever.
Angelic Arbiter, sort of. I mean, I don't think you skip your combat, but you don't get to attack if you've cast spells, and it's sort of like trading off a combat for a main phase.
Yep.
I think what makes this an uncard is the fact that you get to use it.
Yeah.
The fact that you're stealing their phase and can attack on their turn.
Yeah.
That to me that's the thing. It's that like if you denied them of it like alone, that's like, well, that's not a big deal. But the fact that you get to do it on their turn, so you get to do somehow combat on their turn, which I mean, we're laughing, but like, you know what? You might be right actually, because like, how hard is that to do? That's not that hard.
That's right.
I mean,
I get to like if I have any untapped creatures, I just get to swing them in at you on this turn.
Like,
okay,
I don't see a
next
reason
turn,
why you
right?
couldn't do it in Black Border. I just think it would be miserable if you did.
Have we gone from this being because have we gone from this being wacky to this being like mild the way we're talking about it? But you're right.
I think it's still pretty abusive.
Yeah, this is one where the abuse potential is the reason why it's wacky, I think, right?
Well, but I want to clarify, but I guess maybe I'm wrong. I don't think the abusability has any bearing on our scale.
Not really.
I think our scale just determines like how far outside the rules it is. Like everything's abusable, whether it's in or out of the rules. But this one. So in my mind, this one's like, I don't know. Like, it seems kind of possible. Like,
if
medium probably.
If you just had a way to flicker this every turn, so let's say you had it paired with Dead-Eyed Navigator,
sure,
and you just stole their beginning phase,
you would lock everybody out of the game.
Basically, lock them out of the game. I mean, they get to play a land and have that one not be tapped, but it's essentially like stasis.
It's exactly like stasis.
Well, and if you're able to flicker it like as many times as there are opponents, you can take everybody's beginning phase.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying. I mean, think about it like this. If you have your Dead-Eye Navigator in your land, you play this dude, flicker it, steal your untap phase. Because I stole your untap phase, I can untap now.
Exactly.
So I can untap everything and reset my board. And I can take everybody's turn, draw 4 extra cards, untap my land. It's Prophet Crucifix all over again.
I was just going to say, you notice that the casting cost happens to be 5 converted mana.
Yeah, it's like it's Prophet of Crucifix / Stasis, but you do need a way to blink it, and like both of those cards are. I mean, Prophet
Dead-Eye Navigator. But when has Dead-Eye Navigator ever caused a problem?
How will Blue ever blink something in a Commander game?
Yeah,
that never happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I did look it up. it's Fate Spinner, the one that allows you to choose at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep. That player chooses draw step, main phase, or combat phase, and then skips that phase.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, I think there's a lot of just nonsense associated with this, but it's certainly legal. It's not going to break the game the way.
Yeah, that to me sounds like that's an argument for medium.
I think it would be a medium card. Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm putting this right on mild.
Wow. Okay.
Well, look at Fate Spinner. Fate Spinner does something very similar, but it does it automatically at the beginning of each upkeep. I know. I thought it was a fun police, but here I am.
It turns out you actually are the fun police. You're letting people play the most immutable card.
I know. I think so, right? Because it itself doesn't ruin anything. It just
no, it doesn't.
You're right. Like,
and it's only a 2/2.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, shock away.
We've got a few other highlights here that are very interesting. I can't wait to hear your guys' opinion on those.
Can I read the next one?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so this is one of the cards that I was super excited about and also am completely weirded out by. Grand Calculon.
Yeah, it's awesome.
They wanted it to be the commander for the blue-white, the Order of the Widget, but because it's an artifact and because of all the text on it, they ran out of room to say you can have this as your commander. I think we should let people if they wanted to.
Yes.
But it's also kind of super mega busto. It for 2 mana, a white and a blue, a legendary artifact that says when it enters the battlefield, each player's hand becomes a program.
Yeah.
And not just a program, but like a 1980s punch card program. So amazing. Because you can only play the first card in your program exactly like the way the old punch cards used to work. And then if you get a card into your hand from anywhere... Well, it's 70s? I don't know, 70s or 80s?
It's like 60s and 70s, 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Okay, well, when I was in elementary school, my old teacher was teaching us how to use punch card to do logo and basic programming. I think it was just because he had the machine, but it was cool. It was super cool to learn how to do this. My parents were engineers. I had like all that stuff. But yeah, so if you draw a card or get it from anywhere, you can play it anywhere within your program laid in front of you. But you can only play the card that is at the very first line because it goes in order from 1 through 5 or 1 through 7 or whatever. And then at the end of your turn, you draw back up to 5. Yep. So I love this card because flavorfully and mechanically, it is exactly the way an old batch program used to work. And that just fills me with so much glee. But this is the spiciest card possible because this is going to slow the hell out of the game. If you have a counter spell or something at the front of your program, you're going to sit there for days and not be able to do anything.
Where do you put your lands? Like, how many spells do you want to cast?
What's the advantage to a player having this as their commander?
I think it's just if you're like, I think more instants, right? Like
I think it actually would be a terrible commander, but
no. What it does is it exposes everybody's hand. Right, which is it exposes yours as well, but in a multiplayer game, that's advantage because you're exposing all of the other players, and it now again it does help everybody. It's symmetrical. It's very fair.
That can't be an advantage. That does it to everybody.
But then you draw back up to 5 cards. And that's
you
pretty
can only
cool.
play one
that's pretty good,
at a time.
But you're only allowed to play the one on your left.
Yeah,
right.
So you're not going to be storming off with your program.
Yeah, but when you draw the card, you get to insert it wherever you want in the program.
So, but where do you put your land? Like your lands definitely mark your turns. So I think you need to run like creatures, like onboard tricks, like things that let you play. There's an artifact that you can tap to play a land. I think you need that guy. You need things that let you draw cards on the board so that you can insert other things into the program as an emergency to like disrupt it. Oh boy.
Now what's funny is we all voted yes to this guy. This guy is by our votes mild.
Well, you said this is spicy. I don't think this is spicy. I just think it's bad.
Yes. I feel like I'm voting medium because it doesn't it changes the way you play your hand, but it doesn't change any rules of the game. You can still it's easy to figure out how to play. It's just hard to figure out where to put in your hand.
I think it just adds so much complexity and slows the game down so much.
For sure.
Your deck might be set up to play Grand Calculon and be like, okay, I've got my program listed out. It's going to work out. It's going to be great. The other guy who's sitting there trying to play his, I don't know, your
Nath.
Your Nath or your Rafik deck or something, you're going to be like, what the hell do I even do with this?
Actually, Nath will really mess this guy up.
Yeah, but like think about like, for instance, like your Karametra deck with all of your enchantments and everything. You would be here for days shuffling your deck and then putting it in order and then fetching. This is miserable. It feels like it would be totally miserable.
Well, then you better not play it against me, Shivam.
Oh, hell no. I
would
like
love
the idea of this card, but I would never play it.
Well,
I want to see it once. I just want to see how it goes. Like how do people think about it? Like some fun things where it's like, man, I could stop this crazy enchantment, but I need to be able to cast 2 spells based on where I put my removal.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh God, yeah, removal. You're all everybody's removal spell is gonna be out in front, and you're gonna see it. Like, well, his Swords of Plowshare is actually in slot 3, so I can play this guy before he gets around to it again.
Yeah.
Okay. I also love the nod to Robo Rally by the fact that there's 5 in there.
Yeah, it's really good.
The other Richard Garfield creation
this is the flavor home run. This card.
Yeah.
Yep,
and it feels like the perfect white-blue card. You're totally logic.
So we, as the Unmander Rules Committee, have decreed that this can be a commander.
Yeah.
We just don't think you should.
and that it's mild, this particular card?
I mean, maybe I don't know how semantic we're getting. I think it's medium in the sense that this will never be black border.
Fine, medium it is.
But it's very easy to figure out.
Yes.
It doesn't break anything, it just sucks.
Yeah.
Well, Wizards, this is a great version 1.0 of this. Maybe the 2.0 can be in black border.
Grand Calculon ++.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Can I read the next one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Baron Von Count for 1 and a black and red. So it's 3 converted mana cost, and it's a Rakdos legendary creature. You get a legendary creature, human villain, 3/3. Baron Von Count enters the battlefield with a Doom counter on 5. Now, the art in the background is the Doom counter. Right?
Yep, he's in it.
Whenever you cast a spell with the indicated numeral in its mana cost, text box, power, or toughness, move the Doom counter 1 numeral to the left. When the Doom counter moves from 1, destroy target player and put that Doom counter on 5.
I love this card.
Yeah.
It's going to take forever to do one person's kill.
I don't think so, man. 5 spells.
Yeah, but you have to play 5 spells going from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They don't have to be expensive.
You have to sculpt your hand.
That's right. They don't have to be expensive spells. They just have to say the first one just has to have the word 5 on it or the numeral 5 on it.
Okay,
yeah, numeral. Yeah, that's not too bad.
5 toughness, 5 anything that references the number 5, which there are a bunch in the set.
You play your lightning axe, and then you play your roast, then you play lightning bolt, then you play shock, then you play I know the 1 mana
gut
for 1
shot.
point. Yeah, gut shot.
Gut shot, yeah.
And then
Phyrexian ones. Boom. Yeah. What about that? What about mutagenic growth? Just play that for no mana.
Well, that would be weird in a Rakdos deck, don't you think?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sure, you could do it. I just feel like you're going to kill one guy, it'll be neat, and then everybody's going to wreck you.
Isn't there there's a Mark Rosewater podcast about him talking about destroying target player, right? There's one where how he wanted to do that, and what did that end up becoming? Didn't it become
door to nothingness?
Right.
Target player loses the game.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
That card is awesome. He just wanted to say, destroy target player.
And that podcast came out before the Unstable preview card, so he was clearly hinting at this.
Yeah.
He's been hinting at this for like years.
I know.
This and like Trample Bolt that he's been trying to get forever. It's like, it makes sense when you look at it intuitively. It just, when it comes to programming it on Mitgo, it's never going to work.
It's a totally reasonable card, though, for black border. So if they can solve that problem on Magic Online, whichever version ends up having it, they really should.
Yeah, like I feel this card is totally legitimate.
Yeah.
Baron Von Count.
No, Shivam called it a Trample Bolt, but I forget what it's called.
Yeah, Trample Bolt, and I think actually Baron Von Count could easily be a black border card too.
Super Duper Death Ray.
I have the same problems with Baron Von Count as I do all the cards that reference like words and letters and stuff. It's like they're simply referencing like the arbitrary numbers on a card. It's like, I don't know.
Well, remember, we have the Eldrazi who says, like, you can't play even spells or something like that.
Yeah.
The mythic rare.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
And there have definitely been other cards where it's like, I think Ashling's Prerogative is another one, which is like, you pick evens or odds and do some nonsense with that. So there's
the new Kozilek too.
Oh yeah, like Kozilek. There's precedence for that in Black Border.
Yeah, and all they have to do is spell it out, and it becomes a doom counter that starts on 5 and decrements every time this condition is met.
Exactly, yeah.
And maybe the text box isn't part of it in Black Border, but power, toughness, mana cost, mentioning the numeral on the card
this
itself.
seems super mild to me, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the nonsense, like Grand Calculon, this guy is practically vanilla.
Don't be hating on Grand Calculon.
No, I think it's amazing. I'm just
until you guys mentioned it, I didn't know Grand Calculon was not a creature. I just saw it. I just saw it as like a big, weird, spidery computer dude with a big beard. I was like, well, it's a creature.
He's gone to the singularity, right?
Yeah.
So he is like fully machine now.
Yep.
I love the story that card tells.
He's like the Emperor.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dune.
From Warhammer 40k is what I was thinking, but you're right about the Dune too.
So and then the next wacky tacky crazy sauce card we have is Split Screen.
Oh, this is Sean's favorite.
It's one of my faves. Yeah,
I like this one a lot too.
Fun as hell.
4 generic mana for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, shuffle your library and then deal it into 4 libraries. So it's got to be even. It's going to take a while in Commander, but
we're going to be here all day.
If anything refers to your library, choose one of your libraries for it. Play with your library's top cards revealed. When Split Screen leaves the battlefield, shuffle your libraries together. Oh man, like any scrying, like you get just to pick. Like, you don't even need to scry because you get access to 4 cards at once. It's like which one do you want? Which one do you need next? What a card! What a card!
Oracle of Moldiah.
Oh my god, yeah. Anything that lets you play off the top, you can play all of these. But a future sight going on this thing, not a problem.
But if you're playing against a guy with Lantern of Insight, you're going to be real sad.
Or really happy because they can't get all of them. They can only get one.
No, it mills everybody. So it would probably
But wouldn't you choose which one it mills from? It doesn't mill all libraries. Each opponent mills one from the top of their library, so you get to pick which of the 4 you get to do.
Whenever something refers to your library, you choose one, yeah. If anything refers to your library, choose one of your libraries for it.
Yeah. So I'm never milling the good one.
Wait, you must this must
so
be
cool.
Wait, Lantern of Insight just shuffles someone's library.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because Lantern Control is the one that lets you force people to...
So you choose one of the 4.
So you have to choose one of the 4.
I'll choose the one that I like. Yeah.
Yeah, and just for the listeners at home, we did ask Sheldon, if you do Rampant Growth, you have to pick a library, but you have to shuffle that library. You don't get to shuffle another library because it's all kind of part of one action.
And let's hope you still have the basic you want in that library.
Well, yeah, that's the other trick. But this probably interacts really well with the card that makes you search your deck in 10 seconds and put all the cards on top of the tutor.
Oh, yeah. What's that one called?
There's another wacky card.
Much more manageable.
Oh, God. The next one is maybe my favorite card in the set.
Yeah.
This is the card I was most excited to see.
Hey, Commander's Brew. Did you think you were controlling this episode?
I'm so sorry.
I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, I know. We are. This is what we're like. We are just this tidal wave, and Shivam is like constantly pushing. It's just awesome.
Dude, I'm the enthusiasm train. That's what I do.
You are.
Dara Express. That's where we go.
Yep.
So. The next card, the Sorcery Mythic 7 and a black, which is a nice cheap cost. But you better be getting something good for that 7 and a black, and you are, because this card is Summon the Pack, which, by the way, greatest pun name, because you're summoning the pack of booster cards. Because open sealed booster pack, reveal the cards, and put all creature cards revealed this way onto the battlefield, and they're all zombies. Now, let me tell you why that pack needs to be Legions. Because Legions was the all-creature set. Every card in Legions was a creature.
Okay, but Shivam, isn't Legion...
Yes,
okay, you go on.
There's two things that'll be about this. One is that in Legions, there was a cleric that was a black creature that was released that said when you play a zombie or when a zombie comes into play under your control, all opponents lose a life and you gain a life. So literally you just gained 15 life off of that card and decked everybody for 15, which is amazing. Not decked, but like pinged them. However, and this is a little bit of a...
I think once you get over 10, you're not pinging anymore.
Yeah, no, then you're just like punching. But Legions was also the set with Phage, the Untouchable, who just happened to say, if you don't cast her, you lose the game. We call it when you're playing Momir Momir Basic on Mitgo, we call it playing the Flottery, because you're basically... You pay 7 mana and you pray that it's not a Phage, and if it is, you lose.
Yeah,
I love that kind of randomness. I love that kind of chaos, and I'm super here for just the insanity that would ensue.
Now, do you not think the best pack, though, realistically, is Battle for Zendikar or Oath of the Gatewatch?
Rise of the Eldrazi.
Right, maybe Rise. I'm just thinking practicality. It's going to be tough to find one of those packs.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Rise is not going to be a good pack because there are a few large Eldrazi.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of really small walls and scrubs in there.
Yeah. But there were common annihilators, or there was a common.
There was like
one.
Yeah, like okay. Realistically speaking, maybe like Alara is better. Maybe like Kaladesh probably wouldn't be so great because there's a lot of artifacts and stuff. But the great Frank Karsten wrote an article because he is that kind of dork too, basically laying out a chart of the exact percentages of cards and creatures that you can expect to find from the most likely picks you want, which was amazing. The idea that somebody actually statistically mapped out, these are the packs you should open. Let me see if I can start up. So no, I love this card because it's also like one of my other favorite cards from the last one was Booster Tutor.
Yeah.
Right? Where you pull the booster pack, you pull one card and put it into your hand, and then there's Stalking Tiger, the holiday card that let you come into play with a booster pack associated with it. So this chart, he did a chart distribution of every expansion. It looks like about maybe 20 or 30 expansions he did in there. And he's like, Legions is going to give you the most creatures and the highest expected combined power and toughness, followed by Alara Reborn, Mirrodin Besieged, Aura Devastation, Battle for Zendikar, and Ixalan. Because Ixalan would be amazing. It's a tribal set. A ton of creatures. Dinosaurs are huge. All the creatures will do things.
That's where you really want to crack one of those 9/9s. That huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, personally, I would pick something like one of the Innistradi sets because all the zombie synergies would be super good. And I know this guy's going to go right into my Grimgrin deck as soon as I get one.
Wow.
You know what's weird about Stalking Tiger? It's white bordered.
It was a silver bordered holiday card.
Yeah, but it's white border. Like it's got a white border. That's really weird.
Yeah.
I think it's just the lighting.
Oh, on Scryfall it looks white anyways.
Well wait, do we... Oh, she's probably asleep, but Adrian Reynolds has a Stalking Tiger. She would text us a picture.
They actually made them as they were originally holiday cards, and then they accidentally released a set of them as booster pack promo cards you could get at big box stores. Like, you know how Target and Walmart used to sell these like 3-pack boosters with a random promo Hydra or something on the front? For a few months in the southeast of America, there was Stalking Tiger promos without the date.
Whoa.
And I was like, what the hell? I need this in my life.
Whoa.
How did that happen?
I don't know, but it was amazing, and some people got very lucky.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Let's do this next one here. This one's nuts. This one's bonkers.
Yeah.
This is the countdown is at 1. This is a 5 mana, 3 red for sorcery. Players play a Magic sub-game starting at 1 life and using their libraries as their decks for the rest of the main game. If a source would deal damage to a player who didn't win the sub-game, it deals double that damage to that player instead. So here we have another card. Yeah, Scheherazade, where you play a sub-game of Magic the Gathering. Like, come on.
That isn't going to take long. Everyone's at 1 life. Whoever gets the first creature is going to win that one.
Gut shot.
Yeah, right? Play gut shot.
Yeah, like how many of us in our commander decks have like a lot of like 2-drops, right? Like, I know a lot of decks don't do anything.
My soldiers deck has a bajillion 2-drops.
Sure. So like if your soldier deck's in there, I'm not playing this card against you. But like, there's a lot of situations. Like if I'm, I'll never get to play Scheherazade, and I don't think I'm ever gonna ultimate a Karn. So this is the next best thing I got.
Well, I mean, you could do the one from Unhinged under the was it in the dungeon or something?
Yeah.
Where you have to play underneath the table, and I'm not interested in playing underneath.
No,
the
that
table.
one's silly.
So the countdown is at 1. The move is to play this and then have a mountain and a shock, right? Like that's
or
ideally what you want to do.
A hasty
but you
creature.
have to start the new game, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So you play a mountain and then you play shock. That's what I'm saying.
But you don't know you'll have shock because you're going to draw a new 7, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you start a new hand.
You leave your current game as is. You basically shuffle your deck, draw a brand new 7, start over. So,
but you are playing red.
Yeah.
And if you're playing this card, you're going to put a few extra burn spells in that you wouldn't ordinarily put in.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, this card I think is totally mild, totally legitimate.
And then everyone who didn't win the game. So if you resolve this in a 4-player game,
Furnace of Wrath on everybody. It's going to be amazing. I mean, there's no reason why this card couldn't just be black border legal.
Sean, what were you saying?
I think I was just saying it's only the person who didn't win the game. So if you're in a 4-player commander game, you resolve this. It's like, well, only one of us will not be taking double damage the rest of this game. So I hope it's me, but it's a risky move, right? Even if I think I got the odds on me, it's possible I won't get it. I love that about this card.
I don't like this for Commander because you have to play a sub game with 2 people?
No, with everybody.
No, with everybody.
So everyone plays it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's players.
It says players.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. I don't like sub games. Get out of here.
I think
I love them.
I don't see Scheherazade on the MTGcommander.net ban list.
I think it's just a soft ban of just like, please don't play this card.
Right.
Scheherazade.
That one's pointless.
In any case,
this
this is legal for the next month.
Yeah, like there's no reason why this can't just be totally legitimately legal. It's mild. It's like there's no reason why you couldn't play this. It'll make fun things happen.
Yeah,
go for it if you want to.
And finally, a big. This one's very big. Who wants to read this one?
I'll take it.
Special day today for this guy as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Although Andy, you haven't read a card yet.
I just read that one.
You just read that one.
Oh.
I do have Urza. I mean, whoops.
So
I have the card up too.
Academy Headmaster for Wooburg, one of each color. You get a legendary Planeswalker, Urza, who comes in with 4 loyalty, and his +1 is head to askurza.com and click +1. His -1 is head to askurza.com and click -1. And his -6, his ultimate, get ready, is head to askurza.com and click -6. So maybe we should head to askurza.com.
So I have it pulled up here right now. And by clicking +1, the first one I get is distribute 3/1/1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 creatures you control. I believe that was in the Johnny +1.
That's funny because I got add X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool.
All right, Xenagos.
Where X is the number of creatures you control.
I think I pulled one up. I think I got a Sorin. It says, until your next turn, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain lifelink.
Oh, yeah? Well,
okay, hang on. Mine is during target opponent's next turn, creatures that player controls attack Urza if able.
Oh, that's Gideon.
That's a Gideon, yeah.
All right, so let's go to the
I'll
negative
do
ones.
-1s.
It would have been great if that still said attacks Gideon if possible.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, -1. Target player puts a top 10 card to his or her library into their graveyard.
Ooh.
That's the Jace, isn't
Jace.
it? Yeah. I got draw 4 cards and discard 2 cards.
On different
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
They're not all directly from Planeswalkers. Some of them are just inspired by and are like
Some of them are
close
just
to.
good cards.
Yeah.
I got create 2 3/3 green beast creature tokens.
I saw one that was
Create
like
two?
a fact or fiction.
Create 2.
2 of them.
Oh, yeah. See?
I don't think.
Oh.
I don't-
Does
no.
Eric ever make a 2?
I know. I
He
think
makes
he
one.
only makes one. I got
better.
create a 4/4 gold dragon creature token with flying.
Oh, so that's from the
Which is-
D&D sort of D&D.
Oh, is it? Oh, sweet. And it's also
wow.
similar to. Isn't there a Sarkhan that puts out a dragon
Yeah.
like that?
It puts out it turns you into a red 4/4 dragon.
There's.
It turns.
Oh,
yeah, because I pulled that one up.
Sarkhan the teamer one makes a dragon token.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just got search your library for a card and put it into your hand and then shuffle
Yeah.
your library. Demonic Tutor is one of these? Okay.
That's a Liliana.
That's
All right, so let's see
that's
what
a
their
Does
little-
next.
Liliana put it on the top,
It
though?
does. It does. Yeah. The
Well,
Liliana's
there's
a
a-
vampire.
Okay, so let's go to our ultimates and see what we get.
By the way,
Yeah.
do you guys see that little monkey with the what are they called? The symbols?
Symbol, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
This
get
is
it.
a Therese. What's
Therese
it's a
Nielsen.
toy shop or something. This is Therese Nielsen. I love
She
her
just
art.
put like random stuff in there. Oh, dude. So
Oh
my
no,
ultimate.
that is a specific thing. It was someone posted on Reddit. I'll find it.
So my ultimate is you gain 100 life.
That's good. I got Urza deals 7 damage to target player. That player discards 7 cards, then sacrifices 7 permanents. He's got the Nicol Bolas
Thank you, B.
ultimate.
I pulled up a Kiora. You get an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight target creature, then create 3 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens.
Oh man,
Oh,
the one I got is wait, where is it? Here it is. Exile all cards from target player's library. Then that player shuffles his or her hand into his or her library.
Oh no.
Whoa.
Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Do you know what is tragic about this card ultimately? Anybody who's doing like a pre-release or anything like it, I don't think there's any fixing there's like very little fixing in here. If you do open this in your pre-release somehow, I don't see a world in which you ever get to cast it.
Well,
That's a.
Like there's that one green one that like looks for a basic,
Yes.
but I don't think there's any other like fixing.
yeah, you might be right. It's kind of sad. It's
I
going to be very
believe
difficult.
There's all those lands which say if you share a watermark, you can make a color, but he doesn't have any watermarks.
Oh, okay. I found the. I'm sorry to interrupt. I found the little pun that I discovered, and it's not that little monkey. If you look through the so like this is Therese Nielsen also did the art for Legacy Weapon, which of course is like Karn, and then like Urza's head is just floating there, right? Obviously Urza being the headmaster here is a big joke. Because also telling you to head to askurza.com a bunch of times.
Har.
So there's a bunch of jokes about that. But also, in the original art for Legacy Weapon, you can see, Squee, the little goblin from the Weatherlight. His little toy is there, Squee's toy. And then if you look, you can hardly see it because it's through the frame. In the bottom right, there's a little Squeeze toy. Like a squeeze toy.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was worth it, I'm sure.
I love the puns. I do. I love them.
Well, can't wait till you see the full art, right? She'll release that
Yeah.
at some point, or Wizards will.
For sure.
Yeah, I think they have already, but I know that she put it on her Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't have it handy. You're right. There's like almost no fixing in this set at all.
This
So
guy
this-
is totally mild.
I think it's fine. I think this guy should
It's
be
medium
fine.
for sure.
It's medium.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
it's medium.
medium.
Yeah.
It's also
what if
so
you don't have the
Chandelar-
internet?
Well, you can print out and roll a d20, and it
Yeah.
becomes then like D&D. It's like rolling on the chart of like some of my favorite items. The Wand of Wonder.
Now we don't have data yet. Do you think it's possible that some of these numbers are weighted differently probability wise? Like are some of these plus ones more common than other ones?
Apparently,
I think that we don't have enough information, right?
I think I read on Reddit that apparently the stuff is that it's completely random. However, it won't in a session. If you've done one, it won't do another one of the same one. So it's like rolling a d20 and you crossing out which one you got.
I just got destroy all lands target player controls.
Yeah, I got that. I was like,
-6 loyalty.
That's busto.
It's just fun clicking -6.
It's fun clicking all of them, man. This thing looks amazing. I don't see any fixing. Like, I see there's a one druid that gives you greens, but this is going to be a tough one. If you want to play it in your pre-release, you're committing.
Well, luckily, this is a podcast about Commander, so we don't even have to worry about that.
That's right.
What's the next mechanical theme here, fellas? Looks like it's not a real one, but it is very real.
No, it's completely real. It's mechanical theme perfect.
And what does that mean?
Of course, it only has one card in it, it turns out, and that's the Earl of Squirrel. 4 and green. Creature Squirrel Advisor, a 4/4, which is important because it has Squirrel Link. I love it. Damage dealt by this creature also causes you to create that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. That's not abusable at all, is it?
Creature it's just damage. It's not even combat damage. It's just any damage.
It's just damage. It's like lifelink, except squirrels. And creature tokens you control are squirrels in addition to their other creature
Oh my god,
types.
that means every time you fight, you get 4 more squirrels.
Yep. And other squirrels you control get +1/+1.
So they're actually 2/2 squirrels that it makes.
Yeah.
As long as it's out there.
But all your sapperlings are also sapper squirrels now.
Yeah.
And all of the elephants that you make with Nasty Tarassi are now Elephant squirrels.
Yeah.
And they're all going to be 4/4 Ella squirrels. And this is basically everything I want in life in one card. Like, this is the greatest card of all time.
Except that it's not legendary.
It's not legendary. Every time Morrow makes the excuse of why he didn't make this legendary, I get angrier. He's like, oh, well, I want people to play with 4 of them and they're casual. I'm like, nobody's playing 4-player, like 60-card casual.
4 of them? Exactly. What are you talking about? There's no thing where you can play 4 of these anyways.
I just need the one.
The only thing possible maybe is in Commander or a cube, in which case you're not making a cube with 4 of these. You're not making a Commander deck with 4 of these.
Yeah, and he's like, come on, but all the casual kitchen table. I'm like, you think the casual kitchen table players are going to go out and get unstable?
Yeah.
Come on. The people
this is
get it are us.
This is where I think he's. This is where I think he's overestimating the actual playability of unstable.
Yes, certainly,
because he's just so excited for this to exist. But
I have a feeling that's him leaning into that excuse real hard. I think he knows that's a mistake, but he doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah, he also has this real hard anti-commander bias, but I also don't care. I love this card.
Yeah,
I'm going to play it any chance I get. I'm going to make excuses for why there's a silver bordered card in my deck for this after January 15th.
Oops, forgot to take it out. Sorry, guys. Guess I'll just have to play it.
Now, in terms of spiciness, how spicy is this?
I want this to be real. So it's mild as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, if you just like look at it strictly from like a rules sense, it doesn't. Like, it seems mild in the sense that it doesn't change any major rules. Like, for every point of damage this thing does or that a squirrel does, you create more. I mean, the name Squirrel Link is a bit silly, but they could have easily given it a more, like, magic, realistic name.
Well, Let me read this. Let me read this to you. I'll change it. Whenever Earl of Squirrel deals combat damage to a player, or deals combat damage, really,
or just
create that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens.
Yep.
Very reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Tana the Bloodsower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's a dozen like token creators I could think of that do very similar things.
Yeah.
This seemed completely legitimate. I think the fact that it's a squirrel is why it's a silver border. I think the fact that he gave it a gimmicky name is why it's silver border.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of your tokens also become squirrels, that probably wouldn't fly because I think that would get a little broken. However, the rest of this card is totally viable.
I love it.
Like-
I actually, I think my favorite part of it is that it turns all your tokens into squirrels, not all your creatures.
Yeah,
Just all your
exactly.
tokens. I actually
See,
really like that.
I play a soldier deck, maybe exclusively, and I love soldier tokens. Tokens are my favorite thing. If I had a way to make a green-white soldier deck, I would do that all day long so I could have soldier squirrels running around. I love the idea of it and the picture of it. And I don't know, you're right. This is definitely the perfect card. I think this is totally fine in any format you want to play it in. I think, frankly, you could even play it in the black border without even needing the silver border. But we're all hella biased for this, I think.
I also think that like not making this legendary, if you're thinking about like, well, I want to play with 4 of them, it's like 4 of these is really broken. 4 of these is way too much. It should be legendary for the simple legendary rule. Like that, like it should. That's why it should be that. In addition to Commander, like it's just.
If you have 4 of them in play, that means you've got 4 7/7 squirrels that are making 7 squirrel tokens every turn, and those squirrels are all going to be 4/4s. That is absurd.
5/5s.
You're right. 5 and 5s.
Yeah, exactly.
You're making 4x4. I mean 7x7. So 7x4 is 28. 28 5/5 squirrels every turn, and then you put out Crater Hoof and call it a day. What? Okay.
Exactly. It's
Bye.
It's ridiculous. So this is, I think, like it very obviously is not perfect because it does need to be legendary.
Yeah, because it's absurd.
And that is that.
Yes.
But I do love Earl of Squirrels. So good.
All right. So the next category is this trick that they just pulled on us and revealed right before we started recording yesterday, the multi-version cards. Now, a couple of these cards in this set, the vanilla ones especially, but also specifically Everything Imajig, Garbage Elemental, and Very Cryptic Command, got like 8 or 10 printings each of just a random assortment of powers. And
one of them got 6, and the others got 5 or less.
Okay, exaggerated for effect. The Very Slow Zombie got 4, one of each season. The Anti-Enchantment card got 4, one of each major plane. They look really cool. They all share a name, though, so you can only play one in your deck at a time. So you have to pick which Very Cryptic Command you want to put in your deck, and that's the one you go with. Luckily, they're all very different and go in very different style decks. The most notable thing I think about this is that one of the Cryptic Commands has got a different art because Wayne England, the artist, was going to be doing the art for this. He submitted a sketch and then sadly passed away before he could finish the artwork. Aww. So they printed his final sketch as a special edition version of Very Cryptic Command. And then I think they got Zoltan Boros to do the normal art for it. But I love the idea that one of these is just a black and white card sketch. And that's such a wonderful tribute, and it's such a cool card. So, I don't know. The multi-version cards are cool. They're all of wildly different power levels. So you're kind of just going to... I think they're all pretty spicy.
I think it's amusing that I'm looking through. I don't think any of them actually counter a spell.
There's one Very Cryptic that counters a target black-bordered spell.
Oh, okay.
It has choose 2, counter target black-bordered spell. Is that E?
Yeah.
Return target creature to its owner's hand. Untap each permanent you control with a watermark. Roll 2 6-sided dice. Target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the total of those results.
I mean, whatever. That last one's brutal, but like you said, they're all very different. There's all like the Cryptic Commands alone are all very different, but then there's some that aren't at all. Target Minotaur is they're just for the same card.
I love that. Each of them is like a different spell being cast on him.
Yeah.
And my personal, do we list all of the cards? Because it's Very Cryptic Command, right? Everything Imajig, Sly Spy.
Yes. Let me start from the top. There's Amateur Auteur, the sack it to destroy an enchantment. There's Beast in Show, the 6/4 vanilla. You're never going to play it. There's Everything Majig, of which there's a significant number of them. Some of them are amazing, like Sack a Land and Gain 2 Life, etc. Extremely Slow Zombie. I just love it because the art is so good, and the fact that it brains over 4 cards. Garbage Elemental. Each of those is fundamentally different card, and Ineffable Blessing. Each of those is a fundamentally different choice card, and they both go up to like F. So that's 6, 7. Killbots. So the Killbots are actually interesting. So the Legend Mary O'Kill lets you put a Killbot into play and then swap it with her in your hand, back and forth across the table. They each have different names, but the same collector number. And Sheldon clarified yesterday that you can do this. You can just use the Killbot, all 4 of them in your deck, because they have individual names, so they don't break the commander rule, which is important, because that means that you can have more than one Killbot in your deck. And then Knight of the Kitchen Sink, there's a whole group of those with a bunch of different abilities. Novellamental, which is a total like jank card, but the interesting thing is its flavor text makes an actual story, which is really neat. And then 1 secret base for each of the 5 clans in Unstable. Sly Spy, of which there's a whole group of them that do funny things, and you got the rest of them. Target Minotaur, very cryptic.
Very cryptic, yeah.
Did you say Beast in Show?
I did.
Yes.
6/4 Crawworm. If you're playing a Crawworm in Commander, I can't help you.
It's a Crawworm with Trample, sir.
But that
Trample.
bull,
God help you.
but like, tell me you don't love that bull with the bows in his fur.
I love every one of them. I love the random
They're
artwork.
so cute.
Oh my God, it's great. This set's incredible.
That one's good.
I think it's appropriate. The next time we 4 get together, I will bring one of my boxes of Unstable and we will play it.
Yeah, that's
For
Yes.
sure.
It's gonna be a hoot to play.
Oh,
I
yes.
know.
I am so excited. Like,
we're not done yet.
Look.
We're not done yet. Let's
No,
not
we're
get
not
ahead of
done yet.
ourselves here. We got to talk about one big mechanical theme that we haven't even touched on yet.
Huge.
Yeah.
goodness gracious, what could that be?
We have contraptions.
Yes.
So, we at this point probably everybody knows how contraptions work. Even though at first when you look at it, you just want to gouge your eyes out because there's so many things that you have to know about. But when you see it in practice, it's not so bad. Yeah.
All right. So
It's not so bad when you see it working. It makes more sense than explaining it to anyone does. So you get a little deck, you crank your contraptions, you get you get abilities at the beginning of your upkeep whenever.
you crank your inflation engine the way you do normally when you're just by yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just cranking my dog snail the other day. No, but I was talking to Ethan today. Ethan Fleischer, who is another notable lover of weirdo magic formats.
And we were discussing, he's a senior designer at Wizards of the Coast.
Fair. Yes, he's that too. But we were talking about how could you use contraptions in Cube or Commander? Because it's like, oh, I don't want to have to draft them all the time, or how do you make it work in Commander? And he came up with a brilliant idea that I really want to share with you guys. If you take the pool of contraptions, not just 15, but like all of them, and you make a community pool of contraptions that's with you in the game. If your deck cares about contraptions, you pull one off the top, you play it, and you function as if it's there. If you don't, it just acts as part of the community pool. So that way, you don't have to worry about everybody bringing their own contraptions. You don't have to worry about, it's kind of like Plane Chase, where it's like there's just one unified Plane Chase deck in the middle that everybody is pulling from. I really liked that idea, and because I think community pool is also kind of what I'm leaning for using conspiracies. So that's a total neat, viable way to use contraptions in EDH without worrying about everybody needing to have their own. And yeah, you might get some contraptions that don't work with your deck theme. Whatever, you're playing with contraptions, you're going to get weird stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I would think if you're going to make a deck that has a bunch of contraption stuff in it, at least you'd want to bring your own contraption deck. I don't want to use the whatever it is 40 card pool where I'm going to get the one that makes me have lifelink and +1/+1 on a creature till end of turn. Like, I don't need that one. You know.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have if you're having minimum of 15, then you're still gonna have the random crap. This isn't the one I wanted, and I think having just that randomness is part of Magic. you don't know what your top deck is going to be. You don't. I mean, you shouldn't unless you're playing split screen. You don't.
But also,
so like not knowing the top card.
Deck building, big part also.
Yeah, but like I'll be honest, Plane Chase Commander is like my favorite way to play because it's so random and changes the rules every time. So this is kind of exactly up the alley of Chaos players like me.
Yeah.
Like people who are going to want to use Ursa.
Well, this
is
is
not going to be for.
This is the beauty
it's not
of
going to
it.
be for everybody.
This is the beauty of it. Like you can bring your contract. Like I think there should be like no, like it's still singleton, but you can make it like there should be like a minimum, as opposed to
there is.
Right,
yeah,
that's what it is, right? So it's 15.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
and it's a minimum. It's not you have to have 15, right?
Right.
So
minimum.
Then there you go. I just apply that rule. That's all. Because then you get to bring the ones you want. If you want to bring all of them and have it be totally random, you can bring all of them.
Yep.
Yeah,
but it's we should require that it be a singleton deck, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. I wonder. Anyway, so for our scale, I think they're mild because they do they're well within the rules. It is a new zone, but they've done zones before. Like we've got a command zone. Like that's not out of the ordinary. It's a lot of complicated. Like it's just complicated, but it is well within the realm of something they could do. So yeah.
I think contraption should count the way Plane Chase or Arch Enemy does, which is a side add-on to your commander game, not necessarily a default. Like,
I mean, it's whether or not you got cards that make contraptions in your deck.
I wonder if there's a way to just...
It's, well, the Unmanderin Rules Committee will have to come to a final determination, but right now we're leaning to the rules as written instead of this weird way that Ethan Fleischer wants to do it.
Yeah, gosh, what does he know about Magic design?
Yeah.
I think
now,
after we actually try it out, we'll know.
What is, you guys, we love all the contraptions pretty much equally, but you guys have a favorite, don't you?
We do. You know us. We love the budget stuff. We like to measure the value of cards a lot of times in gumballs. So the fact that there's a gnome ball machine is so cool.
Yes.
We get to just pretend. So now the question is like, do we change gumballs to gnome balls? I don't know.
Also, I'm the only one.
When you're talking about uncards,
I'm the only one who had reservations about contraptions, and it's because I don't like there being a new zone. I don't like there being a new graveyard. Get out of here with all this fiddly nonsense. I gotta have this other little card that tells me where I can put my other cards. Get out of here. I don't want that.
What does the Fun Police siren sound like?
Woo! No, that's way too fun. It's hey, hey, hey. Yeah,
Pull over, please.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's what it is.
Hold on there.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Relax a little bit, please.
Yeah. No way, man. No way. I don't
Step away from the chips.
There's already
down,
so
everyone.
much happening in Commander. I don't want to. I don't need another little graveyard. I don't need another little deck.
I do think it's kind of like it is kind of a slap in the face that you go through all that work to make a contraption and then someone can just destroy an artifact and you're like, well, I'm glad I went through all of that to give someone flying until end of turn.
Yeah, but I think that there's so many bonkers things. I mean, look, I'm the type of guy who wants to live the dream, have my arch enemy Plane Chase contraption-based deck with Monarch going around. So I want all of the bits and bobs that you can have. Like, I was a kid at home who had the Sega Genesis with the 32X plugged in on the top with the full tower of 12 machines going all the way with all the connectors and adapters and, you know, your Sonic plugged into your other Sonic, plugged into your third Sonic.
Yeah. Your Sonic 2 plugged into your Sonic 3.
Plugged into your
Knuckles, rather.
Knuckles.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So this is basically all I want to do in my life is have contraptions. I was the guy Steam Slugger Boss was made for. This is for me. It's not going to be for everybody. I understand that. But by God, let some of us have our fun.
Whoa. Yeah.
I also would assume if your LGS is doing like promotional drafts of this, I got to assume everybody's just going to want to go all in on contraptions. So the smart move is go anywhere else with your deck and just like let everyone fight for these.
Well, I mean, I think that in limited, there's so many weirdo themes in this that, like, the dice theme is super fun without needing contraptions. The host augment theme looks super fun. You guys really, if you haven't, you need to see Jimmy and Josh's video. It's fantastic.
I did. I watched it today. I was about to say I watched the game nights. It was really good in like
educational.
And like showing you how it works and everything, and how it's pretty simple when you get right down to it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it actually, and it actually made me really want to play.
That's exactly it.
Did you turn around on Augmentation?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but I now I just think it's bad. Yeah, I really do. Like it can be good, but it's just like playing auras. It's like you got 2 cards just killed by one thing.
I love auras.
Yeah, if you're drafting unstable, no way anyone's gonna want to go like, oh, I think I'm gonna force dice. I'm like there's all these crazy things. It's like no way anyone's going for dice.
I'm gonna be forcing other people helping.
Yeah.
Mono high fives.
Yeah. Josh had in the video. Josh has a good dice thing going on where he's kept pumping his guy and like rolling a million dice. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, definitely made me want to play. No question about it.
Yeah, my favorite part was Josh just whiffing completely on his giant
on the
Mantis, Mexican wrestling one,
slang
missing the table entirely.
They played that moment up so well. That was hilarious.
Very good. Yeah. So listen, we've talked about the mechanics. We talked about what we think is okay. What do we like though? What are each of our favorite cards from this set? Now, some of them we've talked about already, but some of them we haven't gone into super detail. You guys want to? Whose favorite is this first one here on the left?
Oh, that's that one's mine in part. Well, I'll read it and then I'll explain. The Sword of Dungeons and Dragons. For 3 mana, you get an artifact equipment. It's mythic rare, sadly, so we better get. I better pull this in one of my boxes. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from rogues and from clerics.
Yes.
Whenever against that Legion pack that I just pulled.
Exactly. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, create a 4/4 gold dragon creature token with flying and roll a d20. That's a 20-sided die. Look at me looking at the microphone. If you roll a 20, repeat this process. Awesome. And it has equipped too, so it's a sword of X and Y. Except kind of wacky. And I've been I'm gonna expose something here.
You're
really on
closet,
camera.
Man.
Wait a second. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games since 1981.
I've been playing Life since 1981.
And so this is a particularly interesting and important card for me. It's like fusing everything that I love. Except my kids.
Yeah,
don't use them.
And the art is just so gorgeous.
It really is.
The mace sword. I mean, look, D&D has been
the
part of my life.
Mace sword with the D20 as the counterweight.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't even see the ampersand. That's great.
Yeah, like D&D has been part of my life for longer than Magic has. I'm the world's #1 Dragonlance fan. I literally have the largest collection in the world of that stuff. So when I thought that they were making a sort of D&D, I was basically through the roof. And I got a Hasbro, I got one of the HasCon promo sets just for this card.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm all about it. This card it's not great. It's not a great card, let's be real. But I also don't care. I also totally don't care. It makes a gold dragon. That's really all I want.
That's really cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
And totally totally playable, totally mild.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Should I don't know. It's got so much D&D flavor in it, obviously, but like, man, this is a great card. This is fine.
Yeah. It's actually, in terms of power level, it's lower than most of the Sword of X and Ys.
Yeah.
Right. Feast and Famine completely washes the floor with this.
Oh.
But who cares? This is amazing. A flavor home run.
Totally. Who's
okay? I'll go next. This is my favorite card. It's X.
Oh man, what a nightmare it is to look this one up on Scryfall. Let me tell you.
I know it's so hard to find it. You have to look it up like within the set, but and then just search for the one with that name. But it's It's a legendary human spy for Dimir, black and blue. It's a 2/2, and is long. So it's worded very confusing, and I'm sure they did it on purpose to sound confusing. But the gist is, you can cast this creature, and then you can put it in an opponent's hand, and while it's in an opponent's hand, they have to play with their hand face up. They're not allowed to play X, but you're allowed to play any card in their hand for 3 blue-black as long as X is in there spying on them. And he's also Inspector Gadget, which is one of my favorite cartoons.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this seems totally reasonable for
Dr.
Blackwater,
Claw.
too.
Putting people, he's even got a claw for his hand. No, putting things into other people's hands is, I think, like one of the number one black border you're not allowed to do, which is why you can't be black border, because then they'll just shuffle him up and walk away with your X.
Mm-hmm.
But this card is amazing. This card is so, like, I've been brewing a deck with this already, and I'm super excited for it because there's so many cool things you can do. Like, you can make a total control deck with this guy. And with blue-black control, with all of this stuff that'll let you see other people's hands, with being able to play things like Omniscience or I don't know. There's just so many ways to break this card and do crazy commandery things with it.
Now, X is, you're actually brewing that so that we can talk about it on the show, right?
That's why I'm not telling you more. I'm still working on it. I've got a lot of ideas for that card.
Awesome.
I love it. This one's a hit for me. The legendary obviously is great. Commander possibilities. I actually think that, like, you know, in a commander setting, in like a home meta commander setting, this card is totally fine.
Yeah. It totally is.
And the only like problems that you run into are like, I don't know, I guess if you're at like a store and you don't know who you're playing with, and something weird happens where it goes in your hand and you lose track of it or something. Like, I don't know.
Put them in a different
their hand is
sleeve.
face up once it's in there, so you never lose it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I think like the fact that basically this just lets you cast things from your opponent's hand, which there are other cards that do this.
That's exactly what I mean.
They just do this in a different mechanical way, right?
Like Mindslaver?
Yeah, Mindslaver, or like even like Nightveil Spectre, just like
Nightveil Spectre,
right?
Ashia.
Right off the top of the library, but like you get to see it and do it. Like, yeah, man. I think this is reasonable, actually.
Gaunty.
Yep.
I really do think, I know I said that and look kind of funny at the camera, but I really do think X is reasonable for Black Border. You know, the whole thing about it going into the opponent's hand, maybe not, but maybe there's some way to make this happen in Black Border that's pretty easy and evades us at the moment.
Yeah, this card seems totally legitimate. I think if you built a deck around it, it would be perfectly safe to play in Black Border or Silver Border.
Yeah.
It seems to me it would be very easy if they just got rid of the top half of the rules text and the bottom 5 activation, like the one just said 3 blue-black, target player reveals their hand, you may cast a spell from it without paying its mana cost. Like, that's it.
Yep.
Just like that seems, and then you do it once and you don't know what's in there, but for future activations, you can remember what you saw and just target other things.
It's a great observation. You just eliminate everything else and bam, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Sean, I have to ask because as a big fan of your show, I know you're also a big fan of X spells.
I know that's for sure part of the reason I'm impartial to this card. Although it doesn't actually use X the way I like it to.
I know.
No, I know, but I'll tell you what, it does become very confusing when you talk about them, and there's another X spell somewhere involved.
It was super funny when I was pitching this idea to Phil about making a deck to talk about on the show. He was like, "You want to talk about Fireball?" And I'm like, "No, I want to talk about X." And he's like, I'm like, X, the guy from the set. I love that. I think that's great. Yeah, home run.
Next up is my favorite card, and I pulled an audible there. I had Animate Library because I just think it's so fun and wacky. But actually, I think it's every thingamajig, and there's like 6 or 7 versions of every thingamajig, but it's this one version that is my by far favorite, and I think it's just an actual card they should have printed. I'm actually mad that this card is silver border because it should just be a black border card. So it's the everything majig. That's 5 generic. It has the 3 abilities. One of them is 2 and tap it. Move a counter from 1 Move a counter from one permanent onto another. If the second permanent refers to any kind of counter, the moved counter becomes one of those counters. Otherwise, it becomes a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Totally. That is actually reasonable. It's wonderful.
And 3 in tap, you put a +1/+1 counter on something, and 4 in tap, you proliferate. So, like, I think the thing with every thingamajig is that it has 3 abilities from either directly from other artifacts that already exist or inspired by. And I think this one is inspired by...
Like Contagion Engine?
Yeah, but no, Sean, what's the one? We just did it. It moves charge counters around.
Oh, Power Conduit?
Power Conduit,
yeah.
I think that's like kind of inspired by this.
That or Giant Fan from Unhinged. That let you blow counters around.
Yeah, this one Power Conduit let you like tap it and remove a counter from a thing and either put a charge counter on something or a +1/+1 counter, right?
Yeah.
But this just lets it be completely like anything, right? So I really love this card and just really want to I think of all of them, this is the best and like most playable and would have an actual good and positive and fun impact on Commander.
Yeah, this one you just change the color of the border and it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
the name is silly. Whatever.
My favorite of the Everythingamajigs was sacrifice a land, you gain 2 life, which is Zern Orb.
Yeah.
Sacrifice a creature to gain 2 mana, which is Ashnod's Altar.
Yep.
Or pay 2 and discard a card. Search a library for a card that shares a complete word in its name with the name that you just discarded. So if you put Thopter, like for instance, you could get Thopter Foundry because it's got both Thopter in it, right? That one, because it got words, you're right, that's like 2 silver bordery. But the other 2 abilities, Zern Orb and Ashnod's Altar in one package, is pretty solid.
Putting those 2 things on the same card, like you don't need to make Ashnod's Altar any better than it is,
right?
You know? Like it's.
Can I point out,
so
Andy, your version of Thingamajig moves the Doom counter down no matter where it started. All 5 numbers are on this card.
Wow, look at that. Yep. There you go. That's amazing.
That is great.
Fantastic card.
Just run a deck full of everythingamajigs. And finally,
my favorite card. We already talked about it, but I'm just going to briefly mention him. The Earl of Squirrel. It is the perfect card. It's everything I want to do in Magic. You all heard me talk about it once, so I'm going to spare you, but I'm getting the promo for this as soon as I can.
It's great.
The bio box with the new artwork that makes him look like a Shakespearean poet. Love it.
Wow.
Oh, they have that? Oh,
yeah.
Let's look at it. Oh, there it is. Look
It's
at that.
adorable.
It's amazing. You guys can't see, but it's up for the viewers on the YouTube. Yeah, wow. That's really nice.
Yes.
We got to buy a box of these, man. You got to buy a box. You got to draft this. You have to.
If anything but for those lands, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I bought a whole grip of them yesterday. I am so excited for them to come. It's going to be amazing.
Cool. Well, and that's it. Any like sort of final thoughts about the viability of this? Now, at this point, you guys have already recorded. Do you want to talk about that at all? Like that you did last night?
The viability of
with
it?
Sheldon?
Well, sure, but Sheldon has stated with no uncertainty whatsoever that silver border cards are not going to be legal in Commander. Just flat out not going to be legal in Commander after the 15th of January 2018. But we are going to publish this list, and we'll publish it on hopefully both of our websites, right? And also we have uncommander.com and uncommander.net. And I am going to look into some other variations there, like, some other variations there. But Unmander was already taken by somebody years ago.
Oh God.
Crazy. So, but maybe
Years
we'll do
ago.
something like mtgunmander.net or something like that.
Don't say it. Now people are going to steal it from us.
Well, you could bleep us. Or I can go downstairs and register it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of that, I mean, I think the 2 podcasts here, if we wanted to simply declare that we are the Unmander Rules Committee, sure, why not, right?
Done.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll wear that crown.
Yep.
Take that mantle.
There will be undoubtedly a schism in the community because of this, where we're ruining Unmander forever or something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of heat. When we change some of the Unmander rules, when we ban or unban some things.
Suddenly, we allow people to put
we're gonna have to go on. We're gonna have to go on Command Zone, and Josh is gonna argue with us. It's gonna be great.
Yep. But he did like Sheldon did like the spiciness system. And he does agree in a sense. You'll hear it on the show, but he does agree in a sense that many of these are black border cards. So
so
you'll have to tune in.
You have to check out the next episode of Unmanderin for that, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
and that's episode 121.
Yeah,
right.
121. I also wanted to just remind our listeners that I know that we're allowed to use these cards officially in our commander decks until January 15th, but we all know that our metas are our games, right?
That's right.
If you want to run silver border cards at home forever, that's fine. If your house rule is everyone's allowed exactly one silver border card at most in their commander decks, go nuts.
Go buy Earl of Squirrel.
Yeah, right? The Commander is a game that's about expression, and you can express a lot of yourself in your decks and how you like to play. And if you love these cards as much as I do, oh man, put them in, and just who cares what the man says?
That's right. You put the card down, the silver border card down, and you look at your opponent and you say, "Don't judge me."
Yeah, because remember, guys, the main thing about these commander rules and stuff is specifically if you go to a store or a GP to play with the masses. When you're just playing with your friends the way this format was kind of intended, then, do what's fun. If your friends are cool and want to play with silver border, that's cool. If they're maybe contraptions are a little much, okay, well, then don't. I mean, but don't just brush them offhand. Because I think there's so much interesting things here, and I think Commander is due for a little bit of a spicing up a bit. And it's just, there's neat things. It's worth at least looking to make you think of your decks in a different way.
I agree.
I don't want to retire from Magic never having tried Grand Calculon.
Right. Right.
That goes on your Magic bucket list, I suppose.
Yeah, it really does. My unbucket list.
Dude. Chaos Commander is where I'm at, so I love this. All of these things just I was so 100% against silver bordered cards.
He was. It was crazy, guys.
I was I hated it. I was you're wasting time and energy on garbage that's never going to be fun. Because I played Unhinged, I played Unglued, and they sucked. They were terrible experiences. They were great to read, but miserable to play. And I was 100% dead set against this. And then I saw it, and I'm like, this looks like a real set that also has whimsy and fun and is not just full of asses the way the last one was. So I'm not ashamed of playing this. This looks amazing. I want to give it a chance. They've earned that from me. They've earned my respect enough that I'm going to put some money in and give this a try because I think it's going to do really fun things for our format.
Well, there you go. That is a excellent final thought, I'd say. Guys, it was a real blast.
The pleasure is ours.
Honestly, this was super, super fun. This is part 2. If you, for some reason, only listen to this, the part 1 is over
if you
on
only listen
Commander.
to this is fun too.
Yeah, this is fun too. If you're watching the YouTube, then you got to see a lot of weird Skype switching around and me always at the bottom. Everyone else at the top or the full screen, and me and a little magic looking C just sticking at the bottom the whole time.
Is there something you want to tell us?
No, you know what? Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Is the C logo on that too?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about
No,
that.
it's okay. It's my little buddy.
There it is. It has a Danish accent too.
Yar.
Well, yeah, there you go. Check it. You guys want to say something at the end here about your show?
Yeah. What a real pleasure it is to be here. This is absolutely incredible. We are tremendous fans of your show, and I just being here talking about unstable cards in Commander with you guys is incredible. It is I didn't know how much fun and how meaningful this would be, and it's just wonderful. And you can find us over at commanderanmtg.com, and we're on all the various social medias with the same thing there. Thanks for having us on. This has been a blast, and thanks for making the time to do it on our show too. Just incredible.
Well, Phil, you put a lot of work in, so thanks for doing that, and thanks for giving us, all of us, the opportunity to do it, man. It was a lot of fun, and we'll look forward to more of these in the future for sure.
Yeah, we should totally do another Unmander Summit sometime.
Yep, definitely.
Our listeners won't be privy to this, and viewers won't be privy to this, but we do have some plans in the works for future collaborations with us, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get another Sean in here next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess stick around for Brew's News. That's going to be happening still, as always, at the end of our show. Otherwise, we'll all see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brew's News. I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean. Now let's take a moment and do some community birthdays. And now, community birthdays. Happy birthday to Danny, 5 years old, from Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Grandpa, other grandma, and the dog Rusty. Happy birthday, Danny. And happy 5,621st birthday to Dramoka from Dramoka's Captain, Dramoka Dunecaster, and Herald of Dramoka, and Ojutai. Happy birthday, Dramoka. And happy birthday to 7 of the Relentless Rats from the other 1,000 or so of them. Happy 45th birthday to Dean from the whole gang at Butler Tech Industries. Look under your chair for some cake. Happy 28th birthday to a regular human on Innistrad. Congratulations on outliving your life expectancy. Happy 21st birthday, again, to Lazav, Demir Mastermind. You send in a birthday message every year, every day of every year, and I'm not sure why we keep reading it. You're always 21? Okay. Happy birthday to Kevin Whalen, who's working our camera today. Hi, Kevin.
Bye.
Happy birthday to Stoneforge Mystic from everyone at the Forge. What do you get for the Stoneforger who has everything? I don't know, another batter skull maybe? And happy birthday to Jaleva. We would give you something, but what do you give to the person who already took everything that you have? That's community birthdays. Back to Andy and Sean in the studio.
Happy birthday to you, Sean.
And to you too, Andy. If you have any birthdays, send them in to Commander's Brew, P.O. Box 41226, Pueblo, Colorado. If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.